Chapter 1381, Heavenly Court's Letter. Chapter 1381, Heavenly Court's Letter. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. The Super Gu formation in Plunder Shadow Earth Trench might be broken, but it had warned Fang Yuan and the group. At this time, the southern border Gu immortals were rushing over, but there was still some distance before they reached. Fang Yuan could use the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle to immediately escape. However, after he carefully considered it, he decided to try using omnidirectional travel, and familiarize with this method early to prevent any accidents in the future. Because Fang Yuan's methods could not break the investigative killer move, that meant his location would always be in an exposed state. It was likely that they would be ambushed by enemies while escaping. For instance, Fang Yuan's group had ran into Yi Clan's Immortal Gu house, Bay Pavilion, earlier, while they were on the run. Under this situation, it was actually risky for Fang Yuan and the others to escape with the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle. Because the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was not an Immortal Gu house, it and the Gu immortals were not a single entity, and it did not provide a unified combination of offense and defense like Immortal Gu houses. This meant the Gu immortals on the Eagle's back could easily be targeted. But if they grasped the ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel, they could teleport instantly, crossing an extremely large distance and leaving the danger area. Xianxia and the others were able to escape even Heavenly Court's pursuit because they had this method. Fang Yuan's repeated chases brought no results because of this ancient battle formation. Now, Fang Yuan was the new leader of Shadow Sect. His enemy's advantage had now become his advantage. Fang Yuan summoned all the Gu immortals, and passed on the contents of the ancient battle formation to every person. Among them, Bai Ningbing, He Lulan and Xianxia had already grasped this formation path killer move. But it was the first time for Fang Yuan, Miao Yin and Black Tigress. In any case, only 3 of them had grasped omnidirectional travel, and among them, Xianxia's mind was in a turmoil and could not be relied on. As such, Fang Yuan needed to gather everyone and practice together. This formation path method needed each Gu immortal to coordinate, so there was not much meaning in practicing alone. While Fang Yuan and the group were urgently practicing omnidirectional travel, Wu Yong was marching ahead majestically with the southern border righteous path Gu immortals. Wu Yong, according to your information, the enemies are likely to be in Plunder Shadow Earth Trench. We are not that far from the Earth Trench now, please give your orders to plan the situation. Chi Chuyu said. He was also a rank 8 Gu immortal, like Wu Yong, and based on seniority, he was from the same generation as Wu Duxiu, highly senior to Wu Yong. However, Wu Clan was at the height of power, while Qi Clan was satisfied in ruling over their area and had far less reputation than Wu Clan. Adding on the information revealed by Tai Mianshan about Wu Yong, Southern Border's Gu immortals were starting to feel apprehensive towards this Wu Clan first Supreme Elder. And even some fear. After all, before this, many righteous path forces had looked to trouble Wu Clan, some even openly invaded Wu Clan's external resource points. If they had known about Wu Yong's strength and Wu Clan's clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building, they would have restrained themselves and not have acted so recklessly. Wu Clan lost much territory, Wu Yong is absolutely going to settle the score later. After exterminating Shadow Sect's remnant forces, Wu Yong will probably start taking actions. Sigh. We were all mistaken. This Wu Yong is very scheming, completely unlike Wu Duxiu, he actually hid himself so well. Now that I think back, this was probably his plan, to show weakness first so that he can counterattack later with justification on his side, gaining even more benefits. On the way, the southern border Gu immortals continued to discuss with each other. Theories about Wu Yong soon became the common topic in the group. As for Fang Yuan and the rest of Shadow Sect's members, Purple Mountain True Monarch had already died, even Spectral Soul's main body was captured by Heavenly Court, to the southern border righteous path Gu immortals, only that upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was worth noting. They had mobilized 6 Immortal Gu houses in this trip, what was there to fear about an upper extreme Heavenly Eagle? Plunder Shadow Earth Trench. Ugh. Bai Ningbing suddenly coughed softly, a pained expression flashing past her eyes. The activation of omnidirectional travel had failed again. Bai Ningbing suffered the most severe backlash. But her expression soon recovered. Man as before. Fang Yuan was successively activating this time path Immortal Gu, healing himself and others. A complicated expression flashed past He Lu Lan's eyes, as she once again enjoyed the healing effect of Man as before. Man as before was still alive, even she was once again in Fang Yuan's camp. The only pity was Tai Bai Yunsheng, who had died. Moreover, he had been personally killed by Fang Yuan. The training stopped. Fang Yuan healed his injuries using Man as before, and began to think and summarize the reason for the failure. As for the others, they were still healing. Man as before had been used on all of them, but its effect on them was far less than on Fang Yuan. The sovereign immortal body had the property of non-conflicting Dao marks. This slightly weakened Fang Yuan's defense, but at the same time, it gave him a great boost in the healing aspect. The injuries to others were not serious, and adding on their outstanding inheritances, they soon recovered completely. Alright, let's try again. Fang Yuan called. Ancient battle formation, omnidirectional travel. Radiance spread out from every person's body. The radiance soon linked together, but it started to waver and lose its stable state. Bam! There was a crack as the light dissipated, turning into countless little sparks that filled the sky. Fairy Miao Yin groaned, her face flushed red as she suffered the heaviest injury this time. Fang Yuan did not suffer any injuries. He activated Man as before and healed Fairy Miao Yin first. Our movements need to be united. Again. After a while, Fang Yuan said while clapping his hands. Ancient battle formation, omnidirectional travel. Another failure. He Lu Lan gave a muffled groan, her brows slightly furrowed, and a trace of pain flashed past her beautiful face. After resting again, Fang Yuan said, let's adjust a little, follow my movements and then move accordingly. Understood? The three women nodded without a sound. After a while, although Fang Yuan had to taste the bitter fruit of failure again, the progress was much better than before. Good. Fang Yuan's eyes shined. The crucial key to successful activation of the ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel was closely united movements of all parties. After all the initial suffering and hard work, they finally started to find rhythm. But, right at this time, the formation suddenly emitted a thunderous sound. Not good, there are several immortal Gu houses above the earth trench. A pure dream reality seeker body who was in charge of controlling the Gu formation hurried over to report. At once, all the female immortals' gazes gathered on Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was Shadow Sect's leader, they were waiting for Fang Yuan's decision. Quite fast, but no worries. Fang Yuan smiled, this situation is within my expectations. We will follow the plan. Yes. The pure dream reality seeker body quickly retreated. Continue. Fang Yuan said to the female immortals, Immortal Gu houses have locked on to plunder Shadow Earth Trench, we have limited time, we need to hurry. Inside clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building, Wu Yong was looking down at plunder Shadow Earth Trench through the windows. After observing for a while, a sharp light flashed past his eyes, this super Gu formation is quite profound. The creator used the natural Dao marks in the earth trench to construct an immortal Gu formation with just large numbers of mortal Gu. There are shadow monsters as well. Amazing, this scale is enormous, they have all been gathered into one area by this super Gu formation. Xiao Ji Kai exclaimed from the side. At this time, Chi Chu Yu's excited voice came from within Chi Clan's immortal Gu house, good formation, how about letting this old man deduce this formation's weakness and break it? No need. Wu Yong lightly refused, this extermination trip should be finished quickly. Just this Gu formation, so what? Even if there were several times more shadow monsters, they won't be able to block our immortal Gu house's attacks. As he said this, Wu Yong paused, before sending a command, everyone, attack. Clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building immediately took the lead, charging down amidst the fierce wind. It killed all the shadow monsters on its way, paving a path of massacre and chaos. Southern Borders Gu immortals were visibly shocked as they looked at this sight. Clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo buildings might had greatly surpassed their expectations. This is Wu clan's might. Many Gu immortals sighed internally, as if they were seeing a scene of the past where Wu Duxiu fought her way through all. Wu Yong was of Wu clan's bloodline in the end. Ferocity was already deep within his blood and bones. At once, the southern border Gu immortals felt a sense of invigoration in their hearts. Kill. Charge. Kill these demonic scoundrels. Several immortal Gu houses rampaged like unstoppable beasts. The countless layers of shadow monsters felt like weak sheep in contrast. Cries of massacre had already reached Fang Yuan's ears, and they were getting louder. Fairy Miao Yin's expression changed slightly. He Lu Lan took several glances at Fang Yuan, but Fang Yuan showed no reaction. Bai Ningbing was still aloof and indifferent. The Super Gu formation would not be able to stop the intense attacks of several immortal Gu houses, and would collapse in a short while. The highest cultivation of the shadow monsters was only rank 7, and they were already killed or had dispersed in all directions. Just as Southern Borders Gu immortals were advancing boldly into the cave, the pure dream reality seeker bodies stood up. Bam bam bam. A series of self-detonations resounded, dream realms formed instantly. This move again, retreat. E-Clan Gu immortals had suffered from this move before. They immediately retreated far away with Bay Pavilion. Other immortal Gu houses also had no choice but to stop, and look on from the side. The dream realms had formed into an all-around defense over Fang Yuan and the others. Wu Yong and the rest had complex expressions. How could they break through such a defensive line? It was as if they were being bullied for being ignorant in Dream Path. These righteous path Gu immortals, who had been advancing with surging momentum, were dumbfounded. Wu Yong suddenly chuckled. Having to use such a defense means Shadow Sect is already at its wit's end. They are blocking us, but we are also trapping them inside. Let me see how long they can keep this defense. Both sides were in a stalemate. Right at this time, Wu Yong's expression changed slightly as he received a letter Gu. It was from Heavenly Court. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1382, Wu Yong's Anger and Hatred. Chapter 1382, Wu Yong's Anger and Hatred. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. In the Battle of the Dream Realm, Shadow Sect lost entirely, and Southern Borders Righteous Path similarly suffered devastating losses. They lost the Super Gu formation they had arranged, the immortal Gu each clan had offered, as well as countless mortal Gu. They had invested so much, but their earnings were so little. Moreover, in the exploration of the Dream Realm, they had suffered direct attacks and lost several Gu immortals. The true profiteer, besides Fang Yuan who had become Shadow Sect's leader, was Heavenly Court. Heavenly Court had not only captured Spectral Soul's main body, they had also walked away with the remaining second and first layer of the Super Gu formation. The immortal Gu inside these two layers all belonged to Southern Borders Righteous Path, besides Dark Limit immortal Gu which belonged to Fang Yuan. Southern Borders Righteous Path was extremely indignant at such behavior. They wanted to demand an explanation from Heavenly Court. After all, they all belonged to the Righteous Path. Heavenly Court's actions were too unreasonable. When they had just started chasing after Fang Yuan and the others, Wu Yong had also started looking for Heavenly Court's Gu immortals. Although Southern Border and Central Continent were two different regions, superforces often transacted with each other. The credit for this went to Treasure Yellow Heaven. It was because of Treasure Yellow Heaven that Gu immortals could transact easily and more often with each other. Continuous circulation of goods meant frequent exchange and communication. As such, Wu Yong was able to look for Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects without much obstruction. However, he was not able to contact Heavenly Court's Gu immortals. If he could not interrogate Heavenly Court, just tangling with the 10 great ancient sects would not solve their problems. Fairy Z Wei. Wu Yong mumbled while holding an information path mortal Gu. He had not expected Heavenly Court's Gu immortals to take the initiative to seek him out. And this hidden Heavenly Court wisdom path Gu immortal had used just a mere information path mortal Gu to put Wu Yong in a difficult spot. The contents of this information path mortal Gu were about Fong Yuan and the others. Heavenly Court had information about Ing Wu Xie, Purple Mountain True Monarch, Bai Ning Bing, Fong Yuan and the rest. Including the information that they possessed on the ancient battle formation, omnidirectional travel. The information that shocked Wu Yong the most was, the real Wu Yi Hai was long since dead, the person who had mixed into Wu clan as Wu Yi Hai was the otherworldly demon Fong Yuan. It was actually like this. Fong Yuan is Wu Yi Hai, Wu Yi Hai is Fong Yuan. Wu Yong had still been thinking about saving his little brother, but now, he found that his half-sibling had died long ago, and the enemy had been disguising as him all along. Wu Yong first felt shock at this information, after all, this was beyond his expectations. He then felt anger. Anger towards Fong Yuan. This blasted criminal was the true killer of Wu Yi Hai, and was actually so audacious that after committing the murder, not only did he not escape, he joined Wu clan instead. This was simply a slap towards the entirety of Wu clan, including Wu Yong. More importantly, Fong Yuan had managed to pull it off perfectly. This was a disgrace, a humiliation. Fong Yuan not only looked down on the great Wu clan, he still ran to Wu clan and gave them resounding slaps. What kind of force was Wu clan? Southern Borders publicly recognized number 1 righteous path force. What kind of person was Wu Yong? Wu Yong was the current person in charge of Wu clan. He was the first supreme elder with rank 8 cultivation, he was a powerhouse with a number of rank 8 immortal Gu and even possessed an immortal Gu house. Fong Yuan's action was simply toying with Wu clan and Wu Yong like they were a joke. However, besides anger towards Fong Yuan, Wu Yong was also furious at Heavenly Court. Heavenly Court had taken away all the immortal Gu of Wu clan from the Super Gu formation, this was one reason. The second was that Heavenly Court had sent this information to Wu Yong. What did this imply? They were telling Wu Yong wordlessly, we have blackmail material on your Wu clan, you should consider your next course of action properly. As far as Wu Yong was concerned, this was a threat. Why was it that information of Fong Yuan being disguised as Wu Yi Hai was a threat to Wu Yong? This was the difference between the righteous path and demonic path. The righteous path had its own rules. The righteous path paid attention to reputation and face, even if they took something by force, they would need a proper reason. They all needed to stand on the side of righteousness. Previously, many clans created difficulties for Wu clan, seizing Wu clan's resource points. How did Ho clan do it? They first sent one of their Gu immortals to pretend to be a demonic scoundrel, while another Ho clan Gu immortal pretended to chase him down, and with this reason, they forcibly occupied the resource point. How did Yang clan do it? They had planned and prepared for a long time. They first inserted themselves in a nearby mortal village of Wu clan, then through the friction and contradictions between the mortals, they obtained justification. Wu Yong clearly had high battle strength, and also possessed clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building, why did he have to act so passively before? Hee. This was Wu Yong's scheme. He knew Wu clan had an enormous territory. If he directly showed his strength, other clans would only be wary and perhaps restrain themselves, but they would still be itching to take action. After all, Wu clan only had one rank 8 Gu immortal. But if Wu clan passively defended first, letting other clans bully it, Wu Yong could later retaliate with justification and sufficient excuses, and get a bite out of every clan. Only like this would every force remember the pain, and not dare to infringe upon Wu clan's might for several decades. This was Wu Yong's plan, even his closest aide, Wu Fa, was not aware of this. In fact, before this, everything had been gradually progressing according to Wu Yong's plan. It was just that he had not expected the appearance of a disruptor like Shadow Sect. The demon Fang Yuan had mixed into Wu clan, and even Wu Yong himself treated Fang Yuan as his own brother. Don't forget that before this, Wu Yong had used Wu Yi-hai many times to elevate his reputation by showing care for him. Such a matter had happened to Wu clan, which was the #1 righteous path force of southern border. This would absolutely lower their reputation sharply, and even cause other clans to have thoughts of turning on them. Wu Yong had wanted to use his planned excuses to get back at the other clans. But with this matter, as long as southern border's great clans stubbornly pressed on this issue, Wu clan's prestige would be gone. Your Wu clan is the head of southern border's righteous path, but a demon mixed in and even left unharmed. What face does your Wu clan have to command the righteous path? What qualifications does your Wu clan have to occupy these resources? Are you occupying these resources so you can supply them to the demons you are hiding inside your clan? On Earth, this was akin to when celebrities were discovered to have taken drugs. Successful people who always proclaimed they loved their family were found to have extramarital affairs, or when traitorous undercover agents were found within the police force. Prestige could not be seen and could not be touched, but it was indeed a kind of strength that could influence all aspects. The way Wu Yong saw it, those resource points Wu clan lost were nothing. Since they could be lost, he could also seize them back. In truth, he was trying to take the opportunity to elevate his prestige, show his powerful strength, and leave behind his story in the history of southern border. However, this changed because of Fang Yuan. Once this matter was found out, it would be a huge blow to Wu clan. The prestige and reputation that countless generations of Wu clan members had built and maintained painstakingly would suffer enormous damage. Once this matter was spread, what face would Wu Yong still have to go seize back the lost resource points? Wu clan would not be able to raise its head for a long period of time. This damned Fang Yuan. Wu Yong clenched his teeth. He had never hated a person to this extent. It was actually quite ironic. He had himself to blame for using Wu Yi-hai to increase his reputation, by showing his benevolence and familial love. But the result? This familial love would turn into Wu Yong's incompetence for being toyed around by Fang Yuan. This was a lifetime stain on Wu Yong. This blasted fairy Ziwei. Wu Yong was full of hatred towards this female wisdom path immortal of heavenly court as well. Her intention was clear. By informing Wu Yong of this, she was warning Wu Yong, as well as using him as a tool to make him do his best to eliminate Fang Yuan and the others. Wu Yong had to kill Fang Yuan. As long as he secretly killed Fang Yuan, Wu Yi-hai's death could be blamed on Shadow Sect. It was undoubtedly logical. By then, even if Heavenly Court exposed this matter, Wu Yong would have nothing to fear. This matter also would not be his life's disgrace. Fairy Ziwei. Wu Yong mumbled this name. He knew clearly that Fairy Ziwei wanted him to exert himself to kill Fang Yuan and the others. She was blatantly using him. Yet Wu Yong had no choice but to do it. Most importantly, this letter Gu from Fairy Ziwei only had information about Fang Yuan and Shadow Sect. It did not have any words of negotiation or threat towards Wu Yong. This made Wu Yong unable to grasp any information that could be used against Fairy Ziwei. Lord Wu Yong, what happened? Qiao clan's first supreme elder, Xiao Zhikai, asked with concern when he saw Wu Yong's expression turning odd. Wu Yong glanced at him, immediately feeling hatred towards him as well. It was this old geezer. Ordering Qiao clan to cling onto and climb up my Wu clan. Without him, how could Fang Yuan have joined my Wu clan so easily? On the surface, however, Wu Yong smiled, speaking warmly to Xiao Zhikai. It is nothing, I was just concerned about my brother, who knows what would happen to him in Shadow Sect's hands. Xiao Zhikai felt strange inwardly. There were no outsiders here. Why was Wu Yong still concerned about Wu Yi-hai? Why was he acting like this? Previously, Wu Yong's concern over Fang Yuan was just a show, but it was real this time. His concern over Fang Yuan now was the desire to kill him immediately. You still cannot contact Wu Yi-hai. Wu Yong secretly contacted Wu clan's Gu immortals back at headquarters. The group of immortals were silent. Among them, one spoke. The last time we communicated with Lord Wu Yi was when he borrowed Gu from the clan. Another continued, Lord Wu Yi has 6 immortal Gu he borrowed from the clan, nothing must happen to him. Wu Yong's anger immediately flared by several degrees. He had personally approved Fang Yuan's request of borrowing these 6 immortal Gu from the treasury. Moreover, there was still the provision of 100,000 immortal essence stones. Wu Yong himself had taken the initiative to give them to Fang Yuan. Wu Yong really wanted to slap himself. At the same time, his hatred towards Fang Yuan deepened even more. It was this guy. This guy really could act. Even at the verge of being exposed, he still did not forget to reap profits. Truly insidious and extremely crafty. The Grand Wu Yong, was actually scammed by this guy. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1383, Hidden Confrontation. Chapter 1383, Hidden Confrontation. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Wu Yong had considered that Heavenly Court might have sent false information. However, Fairy Ziwei had provided a lot of evidence. Moreover, back then, after Fang Yuan had changed his appearance, many southern border Gu immortals had witnessed him leaving the battlefield with He, Bai and other immortals on the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle. Wu Yi's disappearance was too sudden and strange. If Wu Yi was Fang Yuan, then everything could be explained. Send over Wu Yi's Life Tablet Gu and Soul Lantern Gu through Treasure Yellow Heaven. Also, Wu Fa, take out some immortal Gu from the treasury for me. Wu Yong was looking at the layers of dream realms through the window, while secretly sending his orders. At the same time, he said to the faraway Qi Chuyu, Qi Clan First Supreme Elder, please construct a formation around this area, to prevent the enemy from escaping with space path methods. Oh. The enemy has such a method? Qi Chuyu was surprised. Before nodding, I can arrange a Gu formation to disturb space path transportations, but I don't have enough immortal Gu with me. No worries. Wu Yong laughed, right now, we have so many allies with us, no need to worry about not having enough immortal Gu. No one retorted to Wu Yong, all of them followed Qi Chuyu's request and looked at what immortal Gu they had that could be arranged into a Gu formation. If they truly did not have the required Gu, they could get them sent over with the help of Treasure Yellow Heaven. Despite the huge cost of doing so. But after Fang Yuan had started this trend, Southern Borders Gu immortals had already started to imitate it. Fang Yuan soon found out about the matter of Wu clan transporting Gu worms to Wu Yong. After all, Treasure Yellow Heaven was extremely open, any immortal Gu transaction could cause a huge commotion. These immortal Gu, they are almost all from Wu clan's treasury. Looks like they are transporting them through Treasure Yellow Heaven. There are also my Life Tablet Gu and Soul Lantern Gu. Humph. Fang Yuan immediately had a bad premonition. Unfortunately, he could do nothing to stop it even after knowing this. Transactions in Treasure Yellow Heaven were extremely safe. Fang Yuan had once relied on this aspect, but now, his enemies were using this advantage. Soon, Fang Yuan's information path Mortal Gu received Wu Yong's message. Wu Yi, or should I call you Fang Yuan? We can discuss and do a transaction. Use your immortal Gu to buy your life. How about it? Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk, looks like Heavenly Court has exposed this secret. Those Gu worms must have been all sent to Wu Yong's hands. Directly threatening me to buy my life. It seems he should have some method. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan stopped training with the other Gu immortals. All of you continue practicing, I need to deal with a slight annoyance. Throwing out these words, he immediately stepped aside and began to activate Reverse Flow Protection Seal. Inside Wu Yong's immortal aperture, Gu worms flew one after another like layers of clouds, almost covering the sky of the aperture. This is the signature killer move that Wu Clan 1. A former super clan of Southern Border, had used to inflict darkness and terror to southern borders Gu immortal world. After my Wu clan obtained it, we have been keeping it a secret, worried that we would be excluded by the joint forces of the other clans should they find out. Now, Fang Yuan, have a taste of it. Cold light erupted in Wu Yong's eyes. The immortal killer move activated. However, using his methods, he restrained the aura of the killer move. Even Xiao Ji Kai, who was standing beside him, did not sense it. At the next moment, Wu Yong's expression changed, his body shook fiercely as he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Lord Wu Yong, what's wrong? Xiao Ji Kai was pale with fright, quickly running over to support Wu Yong. How could this be? Fortunately, I only wanted to warn and probe, and did not use its full might. Wu Yong was filled with shock. He had clearly targeted Fang Yuan, but he was the one who suffered. Wu Yong lightly shook off Xiao Ji Kai's hand. His expression quickly recovered, coughing a few times. No worries. It is a hidden injury from my battle at the Purple Blood River Formation. Xiao Ji Kai immediately showed a moved and admirable expression. Lord Wu Yong hurried over to save his little brother, disregarding his injuries. You are truly the model example of our righteous path. Wu Yong. He was silent for a moment, before saying to Xiao Ji Kai, you are amazing. How could Xiao Ji Kai have expected Wu Yong's words to be sarcastic? He was still thinking his flattery had worked and was inwardly feeling pleased. Wu Yong's injury was because of Fang Yuan's reverse flow protection seal. Reverse flow river's water has decreased a little. Wu Yong indeed has some kind of terrifying method that can directly attack my physical body through my life tablet Gu and soul lantern Gu. It's a pity he encountered my reverse flow protection seal, and his killer move was completely reflected back. Fang Yuan let out a breath of air, and started thinking, this is a little strange. Since Wu Yong knows I am Fang Yuan, how could he not have considered my reverse flow protection seal? Could it be, he does not know my other identity, Lu Guanyi? Did Heavenly Court not inform him? Or maybe, even Heavenly Court does not know of it. Fang Yuan thought of the dream realm. This time, his identity had been exposed because the external manifestation of the giant dream realm was invaded by heaven's will. He had entered the dream realm many times to explore, and when his soul entered the dreams, it was without the disguise of familiar face and dark limit immortal Gu. As such, heaven's will could see his true body and find his location. If it was like this, then Lu Guanyi's identity had not been exposed. Damn it! Fang Yuan's heart suddenly sank when he thought of this. I have activated reverse flow protection seal now, and with the investigative killer move on me, am I not telling others that I am Lu Guanyi? Whether or not Heavenly Court discovered this identity before, now that I have activated reverse flow protection seal, they definitely know of it. This was a small hidden confrontation. A brand new battle. It involved three sides, Fang Yuan, Wu Yong and Heavenly Court. Wu Yong suffered backlash from his own method, but his injuries were not serious. Fang Yuan did not suffer any injuries, but had exposed a lot of information. Heavenly Court was manipulating from behind the scenes, making Wu Yong and Fang Yuan fight each other, without using their own strength. This was Fairy Ziwei's scheme. This Heavenly Court wisdom path Gu Immortal grasped crucial clues and information, and immediately displayed her powerful scheming ability. Moreover, she handled it with extreme finesse. Wu Yong sent another letter to Fang Yuan, but Fang Yuan paid no more attention to it. The training of the ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel finally showed results and they were getting closer to success. However, Fang Yuan had now become a burden. He needed to maintain reverse flow protection seal at all times to guard against Wu Yong's attacks. His focus was mostly placed on this, and so, it was difficult to pay attention to omnidirectional travel. However, after Fang Yuan intentionally slowed down the pace, they were finally able to activate it little by little. A resplendent radiance illuminated their surroundings. The light quickly dissipated. Fang Yuan and the rest had disappeared from the spot. The intense turbulence of space path was more or less sensed by the southern border Gu immortals outside the dream realm. They have left. Maybe, one or two are left behind. Wu Yong was not surprised. But our Gu formation has yet to be constructed fully. They actually had such methods. Why didn't they use it earlier on? It definitely has some serious flaws. Xiao Zhikai guessed. Chi Chuyu stroked his beard, no worries. Although my super Gu formation has not been arranged perfectly, it has produced some results. I believe that right now, they should have already been separated. Many southern border Gu immortals were clueless, but Wu Yong did not stint on his praise. Qi clan's first supreme elder is truly formidable. Since Wu Yong knew Fang Yuan and the rest had omnidirectional travel, he had predicted they would use this method to escape. How could he not have arranged a method to deal with it? He had already secretly transmitted the information to Qi Chuyu and had him arrange a countermeasure against it. Qi Chuyu was a rank 8 Gu immortal, a formation path great grandmaster. With a concrete goal and information, he could make an appropriate response. Huff. Bai Ningbing had just stepped on the ground. When she coughed out a large mouthful of blood, she felt exhausted and her face was deathly pale. This is not our intended destination. Bai Ningbing's dragon pupils slightly shrunk. She quickly contacted the others. The ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel had been disrupted, the Shadow Sect Gu immortals were separated, far from each other. Besides Fang Yuan, each of them were injured to some degree. What should we do, sect leader? Fairy Miao Yin quickly inquired. Fang Yuan hesitated. Should he escape by himself using the upper extreme heavenly eagle? Or should he waste time to regather the Shadow Sect immortals? By now, the pure dream reality seeker bodies had basically all detonated into dream realms back in Plunder Shadow Earth Trench. There were still a few who were left in the immortal apertures of He Lu Lan and the others, including Ying Wuxie, who was in Lady White Rabbit's immortal aperture. Dream realms were invaded by Heaven's will. The pure dream reality seeker bodies were also paid attention to by Heaven's will at all times. Keeping them near oneself was the same as leaking their location. However, pure dream reality seeker bodies could self-detonate into dream realms at crucial times and be used to obstruct immortal Gu houses. As such, Fang Yuan was keeping them with him. The investigative killer move on him had not been broken. There was also his life tablet Gu and soul lantern Gu, which were in Wu Clan's hands. More importantly, Wu Clan actually had methods to attack Fang Yuan through them. The situation could be said to be extremely bad and dangerous. It was difficult for Fang Yuan to deal with even one immortal Gu house. The upper extreme heavenly eagle was not reliable. Although it had rank 8 strength, it would not risk its life if it encountered a strong enemy. Fang Yuan's control over it had yet to be improved. Dark Limit Immortal Gu was also lost. Heaven's will could now monitor Fang Yuan at all times and easily make arrangements. Moreover, they might also have been struck by investigative methods as well. Fang Yuan's gaze turned gloomy. After coming out of Plunder Shadow Earth Trench, Fang Yuan's next destination was Western Desert. Among the 5 regions, Western Desert had the highest quantity of Shadow Sect's remaining resources. Because Ying Wuxie, Purple Mountain True Monarch and the others had traveled the other 4 regions, and plundered all the remaining resources and immortal Gu that they could plunder. Only Western Desert remained. Should I go to Western Desert alone? It is a pity to sacrifice them like this. Also, as long as I don't break the investigative method on me, my whereabouts will always be grasped by others. Langya Sect. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1384, Respective Trials. Chapter 1384, Respective Trials. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Rumble. Air currents surged and great waves billowed. Glorious radiance shined, creating a magnificent scene. From within the light, a figure gradually walked out. He was extremely tall, about 9 feet, with a well-built body. He had long and dense black hair that draped behind him like a cloak, slightly waving as he walked forward. The most eye-catching part was this Gu immortal had a pair of spiral dragon horns on his forehead, which seemed to be made of purple gold, shining brightly. Fairy Ziwei had already waited for a long time. She went up and bowed with joy, Lord Duke Long. This person was none other than Duke Long. He had personally led the Central Continent Immortals in Heaven Overseeing Tower, becoming the biggest winner of the Battle of the Dream Realm. Heaven Overseeing Tower was extremely fast. It returned to Central Continent after quickly crossing 2 regions in White Heaven. The Immortals of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects left by themselves, while Duke Long and Fairy Ziwei returned to Heavenly Court. As per Duke Long's instructions, Fairy Ziwei activated Heavenly Court's Gu formation to screen Duke Long's identity and prevent him from being possessed by Spectral Soul. From the current situation, it looked like Spectral Soul did not succeed in possession, and Duke Long was still Duke Long. But his face was ashen, his brows were deeply knotted, and every step he took, his soul felt a tremor. As expected of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, even after death, his soul path attainment is still unrivaled. I will use our Heavenly Court's immortal graveyard to thoroughly suppress him. Duke Long said, Fairy Ziwei, you shall continue to lead Heavenly Court, do your best to completely eliminate Fang Yuan and the rest. Fairy Ziwei nodded, I have already notified Wu Yong and have borrowed the strength of Southern Border's Gu Immortals to separate Fang Yuan and the rest of Shadow Sect members. Not long ago, I sent another letter to Wu Yong, informing him of the specific location of these Shadow Sect members. I estimate, we will receive news of success within a few days. Duke Long nodded lightly, a trace of admiration flashing past his eyes as he looked at Fairy Ziwei. This was the incredible power of a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal. They could pry into the secrets of heaven and earth with just one event. They could appraise people's hearts, and make others fight for them while they watch from far away. Fairy Ziwei herself had extraordinary talent, and was an elite among rank 8 Gu Immortals. This was the reason why she had been accepted into Heavenly Court. And with the use of Star Constellation Chessboard, she could be said to be among the top 3 Wisdom Path experts in the present. The reason why she could not be said to be number 1, was because the world was vast, there were many experts who lived in seclusion. Even Heavenly Court did not know the specific details. Chaos had to descend, the world had to be turned upside down, before these experts made their appearance. Previously, Fairy Ziwei had not been able to make many achievements because she lacked crucial clues. At that time, Fang Yuan's defense was too good. But it was different now. Duke Long continued to instruct, this demon Fang Yuan, we must take his life. He is a complete otherworldly demon, the only natural enemy of Fate Gu. But, he is also the long-awaited inheritor of Red Lotus. He not only has Giant Sun's true inheritance, but also will gain Red Lotus' true inheritance. The great era is coming, our Heavenly Court needs to have our 4th Immortal Venerable, Great Dream Immortal Venerable. To receive and guide her, we need to put in all our effort to remove all obstacles. Fang Yuan, Giant Sun, Red Lotus, all of them. Everything is for Great Dream Immortal Venerable, Ziwei, do you understand? I understand. Fairy Ziwei nodded, just like you arranged, that person is now in Southern Border. Good. Duke Long nodded, he did not speak any further, turning around and leaving. Fairy Ziwei stood on the spot, quietly seeing off Duke Long with her gaze, until his tall body completely disappeared into the immortal graveyard. She slowly breathed out a sigh, her eyes glittering as she thought of the huge task. Heavenly Court is to be the strongest. For all eternity. She softly mumbled. Southern Border. A white figure quickly streaked through the air. Soon after, thunder and fire arrived, exploding in a line behind the figure. It was a small error, but it resulted in a large discrepancy. The white figure dodged in time, coming out safe and sound. It then stopped and casually waved backwards. Whoosh! In an instant, ice and snow flew, and cold wind roared. A figure came out of the thunder and fire, and had wanted to chase, but it quickly stopped and used defensive methods. Several breaths later, this small valley turned into a land of ice and snow. Ice crystals could be seen everywhere, shining brightly under the sunlight while releasing cold air. Having rank 6 cultivation level but rank 7 battle strength. Terrifying, truly worthy of a northern dark ice soul physique Gu immortal. Chai Clan rank 7 expert Chai Pajun inwardly praised, before increasing his strength. Bam! The thick ice that had formed on his body could not resist his fierce power, immediately shattering into pieces. He was thin and shriveled, his skin was slightly black as if he had been forged in iron, his fierce eyes staring at his opponent, who was standing on a high slope. His opponent was dressed in white, and had an extremely graceful figure. Bright silver hair flowed down to her waist. Her pale blue dragon eyes emitting a cold aura to the outside world. Her skin was white as snow, her expression was cold, and with an unparalleled appearance, even Chai Pajun's soul was stirred when he first saw this beauty. The more eye-catching part was the pair of small and cute red dragon horns that were growing on this female immortal's forehead. She was Dragon Lady by Ningbing. She had activated the ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel with Fang Yuan and the rest, but because of Chi Chu Yu's Gu formation, the battle formation was disrupted and the Gu immortals were separated in all directions. Bai Ningbing had been teleported to this place and had immediately treated her injuries. She then moved towards the gathering point which Fang Yuan had set, but was intercepted by Chai Pajun. An intense battle began as a result. They fought for dozens of rounds and had battled through hundreds of li, but were unable to determine a victor. Two pairs of eyes gazed at each other. Chai Pajun did not immediately initiate the attack. Bai Ningbing stared at Chai Pajun's skin with her blue dragon eyes, pondering, this is the neutralize wood body created by Chai Pajun. Even if it is an immortal killer move attacking this body, as long as they are not powerful enough, their strength will be sharply reduced and end up at the level of a mortal killer move. Chai Pajun's neutralize wood body was a unique move, it directly destroyed Bai Ningbing's cold eyes immortal killer move. Bai Ningbing's cold eyes immortal killer move was a move that was quite troublesome to deal with. In the past, Fang Yuan had been struck by this move when he was chasing Ying Wuxia and the rest. However, Chai Pajun's neutralize wood body could directly disregard cold eyes. Naturally, Bai Xiang's true inheritance did not just have cold eyes, as such, while fighting with Bai Ningbing, Chai Pajun had been inflicted with quite a few injuries. Amazing! Chai Pajun suddenly spoke, I have to hand it to you, Bai Ningbing. His tone was flat, without any fluctuation in his pitch. In this silent battlefield, this strange tone seemed to fade into the cold air. You are only a rank 6, but I am actually finding trouble dealing with you. I have been famous for a long time, and have long been a reputed rank 7 fire path expert in southern border. But look at me now, I am actually unable to dispel this frost energy on me. One of the 10 extreme physiques, Northern Dark Ice Soul Physique, as well as Bai Xiang's true inheritance, it really makes people envious. If you were kind and walked the righteous path, you would definitely have a place in southern borders Gu immortal world. A pity that you have fallen to the demonic path, bringing disaster to countless beings, your ending can only be death. As he said this, Chai Pajun paused, slightly turning his head to look at the horizon. Thunder rumbled. Crackle. Lightning spread far and wide, cleaving ice and rocks, another rank 7 expert had suddenly descended. Bai Ningbing, you think you can escape after attacking southern border's righteous path? This expert's eyes shined fiercely as he bellowed. Chai Pajun let out a breath of air when he saw the reinforcement. He had intentionally spoken a lot of superfluous words to stall for time. After fighting with Bai Ningbing, he deeply realized it was difficult for him to win against Bai Ningbing, let alone take her life. He needed backup. Fortunately, Wu Yong was in charge of the whole situation, and with Fairy Ziwei's swift information, he immediately dispatched Gu immortals to besiege the scattered Shadow Sect members. Be careful, this woman is extremely strong, we can't be careless. Relax, I have the information given by Lord Wu Yong. As long as we hold her here for some time, an expert specialized in battlefield killer moves will come to help us. Just as the two were secretly communicating, Bai Ningbing suddenly spoke. Her nature was cold as ice, she had remained silent during the whole battle. This was the first time she spoke. Idiots! It was a cold and arrogant voice, but at the same time, it was very pleasant to listen to, making the two rank 7 experts slightly dazed. At the next moment, Bai Ningbing suddenly erupted with a powerful aura. Damn! What immortal killer move is this? Its aura alone is so terrifying. I was delaying to wait for backup. I didn't expect Bai Ningbing to also be delaying for time so she could prepare her killer move. The backup's heart shook, while Chai Pejun shouted and blamed himself for walking into a trap. There is the eerie fire tunnel ahead. As long as I enter it, I can guard against deductions and wait for help. Hei Lulan moved quickly. In her vision, trees turned into afterimages as she quickly moved past them. Hei Lulan had ended up in this place after the ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel failed, but she had immediately received Fang Yuan's instructions to move to a hidden location about 100 li ahead and take refuge while waiting for others. Without doubt, Hei Lulan's luck was pretty good, as not far from her was the eerie fire tunnel. This was a formation set up by Purple Mountain True Monarch while he was alive. It was constructed with eerie fire immortal materials and had the effect of concealment by blocking wisdom path deductions. After a while of running, the eerie fire tunnel was already within 5 li. However, right at this time, Hei Lulan suddenly stopped. She gazed at the inconspicuous small tree ahead, her brows furrowed and all kinds of goo worm aura gradually rose from her body. You only saw my goo formation now, Hei Lulan, your vision is quite poor. A jesting voice came from nowhere. The next moment, the goo formation activated. Hei Lulan's vision suddenly changed, the mountains and grassy lands disappeared, only a desert remained where not even grass grew. Hei Lulan's pupils contracted. Being trapped in an immortal formation was the worst situation. If she had encountered an enemy, she could escape. But in a goo formation, she was caged. There was another thing Hei Lulan suspected. My speed was not slow. I have been moving according to Fang Yuan's instructions. The enemy actually knew my movement route, and also set up a goo formation earlier. Did Fang Yuan sacrifice me, luring the enemy to me so that he had time to escape? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1385, Fang Yuan's Judgment. Chapter 1385, Fang Yuan's Judgment. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Boom. A huge explosion occurred, flames raged everywhere. Scalding air currents gathered into a solid air wall that fiercely repelled everything. At once, yellow sand filled the goo formation, and smoke rose up. Dust gradually settled down, revealing a lone figure. It was Hei Lulan. She was gasping heavily, her body covered in a fiery dress. This gorgeous dress that was originally filled with flames now only had some bits of fire remaining. Even this move cannot destroy the goo formation. Sensing she was still inside the goo formation, Hei Lulan's heart sank to rock bottom. The fight had been ongoing for over an hour. Hei Lulan had used all her methods but was unable to destroy this goo formation. She was completely in a disadvantageous and passive state. In fact, during the whole fight, she did not even know what her opponent looked like. This southern border righteous path Gu immortal was controlling the goo formation from behind the scenes, and had never revealed himself. I must admit. Hei Lulan, you are really strong. It is a pity that you do not possess even a meager amount of formation path attainment. I will be honest with you, even if your battle strength doubled, you still won't be able to forcibly break my signature Gu formation. As he said this, the formation path Gu immortal let out a long laugh of satisfaction. Hei Lulan snorted, sighing inwardly, I don't have much immortal essence left and I have used all my methods. To think that I, Hei Lulan, would finally die here. Oh. Mother, I could not avenge you, although Hei tribe is already destroyed, Hei Cheng is still alive, this is my biggest regret. Right at this time, the formation path Gu immortal's laughter abruptly stopped. Damn it! He let out a shout in which his fright could be clearly heard. A chance? Hei Lulan roused herself. At the next moment, she saw the grey world of the Gu formation suddenly brightening up with long rays of light. Sword light. The sword lights flashed by, but they left behind long lines of white marks in the dark sky. As the white marks rapidly enlarged, He Lulan heard a resonant dragon roar that quickly turned louder and louder until it was the only thing she could hear. He Lulan's mind jolted. She was extremely familiar with this dragon roar. She had a heavy impression of it. Because not long ago, He Lulan had been hunted down miserably by the creator of this sound, and was only able to barely survive with the combined strength of Ing Wuxia and the rest. Fang Yuan. He Lulan almost called out in joy. Never before had she felt Fang Yuan's dragon roar would sound so beautiful. The white sword marks were exceptionally conspicuous in the dark sky. The sword marks were enlarging rapidly, and like tearing open a mouth, bright light poured inside this enlarging mouth. No. That formation expert Gu Immortal let out an unresigned cry. At the next moment, the immortal formation that made He Lulan suffer indescribably shattered loudly. Light filled her vision. He Lulan was on guard, her squinting eyes slowly opened up, and after adapting to the light, she saw Fang Yuan standing right beside her. And that southern border Gu Immortal was being jointly attacked by Fairy Miao Yin and Black Tigress. I am safe. He Lulan immediately let out a breath of relief and relaxed her mind. The joy of escaping from death soon faded. She, who had an ambitious and ruthless nature, only glanced at Fang Yuan once, before sitting cross-legged on the ground and healing her injuries. As far as He Lulan was concerned, the situation just before was extremely dangerous. Her injuries were serious, proving that her life had been hanging by a thread. Fang Yuan did not help to heal her. Fang Yuan did not have any presentable healing method other than man as before. If it were Fang Yuan who was injured, apart from using man as before, he could also transform into an ancient desolate beast and rely on the ancient desolate beast's self-recovery ability to heal himself. But for He Lulan, this transformation path method was not feasible. The battle soon ended. Fairy Miao Yin and Black Tigress were rank 7 experts, and they were jointly attacking a rank 7 Gu Immortal. They naturally had the advantage. And this rank 7 southern border Gu Immortal's main cultivation was formation path. He was best at setting up Gu formations, but close combat was his weakness. More importantly, his immortal formation had been destroyed by Fang Yuan. He suffered a backlash, immediately suffering heavy injuries. With injuries from both this and the attacks, this rank 7 Gu Immortal quickly lost his life. This was a rank 7 formation path Gu Immortal. They were rather rare. Fang Yuan stored the corpse in his sovereign immortal aperture and did not immediately annex it. He called out to the upper extreme heavenly eagle, "Go. We will reinforce by Ningbing." The group of immortals knew the urgency of the situation. With just a slight delay, they could be besieged by a large southern border group. It was because of this Fang Yuan did not hastily merge this corpse's immortal aperture into his sovereign immortal aperture, and instead hurried on the upper extreme heavenly eagle. By the time they saw Bai Ningbing, the battle had ended. In all the surroundings, it was a world of ice and snow. Bai Ningbing was in Bai Xiang form, proudly standing on top of a snowy peak. And her opponents, 2 were dead and 1 was injured. Bai Ningbing actually won in a 1 versus 3. Bai Xiang, right, this is the killer move Bai Xiang. The killer move that once brought white terror to the whole of southern border. Who could have thought it would reappear in Bai Ningbing? The injured southern border Gu Immortal was filled with fright, and used all his strength to retreat. But when he saw the upper extreme heavenly eagle appearing in the horizon, he almost lost hope. However, Fang Yuan did not chase him, instead taking Bai Ningbing and immediately leaving. Right now, they had become fugitives and had to fight for every second. They could not waste their precious time on this rank 7 Gu Immortal. Since this rank 7 Gu Immortal could escape death while his other 2 allies had already died, he definitely had methods to flee, and it would not be easy to kill him in a short time period. The upper extreme heavenly eagle changed directions, flying towards western desert. Bai Ningbing cancelled the killer move Bai Xiang, and immediately collapsed on the eagle's back. She was already spent. The killer move Bai Xiang was abnormally powerful, but it was very taxing on the mind and its consumption of immortal essence was also extremely fast. To Bai Ningbing, it was an extremely heavy burden. If that fleeing southern border Gu immortal had continued to fight, he might have been able to see through Bai Ningbing's facade. A pity he was frightened badly by Bai Xian. This immortal killer move was terrifying in all aspects. Its user could revive from just a small fragment. They were almost an invulnerable white monster. Unless someone could break this killer move, or kill Bai Ningbing instantly without leaving behind even a fragment. Bai Ningbing fell unconscious immediately after cancelling the killer move. If Fang Yuan and the rest had not come to her rescue, she might have died from mental exhaustion. Fortunately, Fang Yuan had a good knowledge of wisdom path methods and could heal this side effect. When Bai Ningbing slowly woke up, the upper extreme heavenly eagle had already flown over 100,000 li. You actually came to save me? Bai Ningbing gazed at Fang Yuan and spoke without any politeness, expressing her astonishment. Bai Ningbing could not be any more clear of Fang Yuan's nature, and had not even thought of being rescued by Fang Yuan. He Lulan was also doubtful of Fang Yuan's objective, and had previously wondered if Fang Yuan had sacrificed her. Bai Ningbing thought even further, and was sure Fang Yuan would sacrifice them and escape by himself. Fang Yuan glanced at Bai Ningbing expressionlessly and said lightly, "The situation is more serious than you imagine. We have all been struck by investigative killer moves. Which is why you were all intercepted by southern border righteous path Gu immortals when you were escaping." Although Fang Yuan had perceivable Dao immortal Gu, which could detect Dao marks on a Gu immortal's body, he was not aware of how many Dao marks other Gu immortals originally had. Without this number, even if Fang Yuan inspected the Dao marks on He Lulan, Bai Ningbing and the rest, what use would it have? However, from the enemy's actions, he could clearly see that they had also been struck by similar investigative killer moves. Which southern border Gu immortal was it? Fang Yuan, you are now Shadow Sect's leader and have inherited Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, even you cannot break it? Bai Ningbing asked. I already tried. Fang Yuan sighed. He did not have all of Purple Mountain True Monarch's immortal Gu, as many of them had been lost in battle. Although he had several good methods to deal with this situation, Fang Yuan could not use them without the respective immortal Gu. He Lulan's gaze flickered when she heard this, immediately thinking of Xianxia sect. Since they did not have enough immortal Gu, they could refine them, and she knew Fang Yuan's and Xianxia sect's relationship was extremely close. Fang Yuan could use the help of that connection. In fact, Fang Yuan had also wanted to do so. Not long ago, when he decided to rescue Bai Ningbing and the rest, he had contacted Sixth Hair. However, Sixth Hair did not acknowledge Fang Yuan's status. He was doubtful of Fang Yuan's motive and asked Fang Yuan to save Xianxia. After all, only these two split souls remained of spectral soul. However, Xianxia and Lady White Rabbit were both staying in Fairy Miao Yin's immortal aperture. This was one of the reasons why Fang Yuan went back to rescue them. Sixth Hair was not willing to cooperate, so Fang Yuan looked for Xianxia Land Spirit. What made Fang Yuan happy was that Xianxia sect and Xianxia Land Spirit were no longer difficult to communicate with like before. He only needed sect contribution points and he could borrow Xianxia sect's strength to refine Gu. Fang Yuan handed some contents of Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritances, causing his sect contribution points to sharply increase. He exchanged them for the chance of having Xianxia Land Spirit personally refine immortal Gu for him. Under Fang Yuan's request, Xianxia Land Spirit used the human isolation style to refine Gu instead of the hairy man heaven and earth style. Heavens was observing them. If the Land Spirit used the hairy man heaven and earth style, he might not be able to refine Gu successfully no matter what because of interference from Heaven's wills. Although Xianxia sect had begun refining Gu for Fang Yuan, Gu refinement was a series of processes. Moreover, immortal Gu were difficult to refine and could not be rapidly created. The situation is even more complex. I suspect Heavenly Court has already collaborated with Southern Border's Righteous Path to eliminate us. Heavenly Court is using Southern Border's Righteous Path as a tool, but they won't just watch from the sidelines the whole time. Besides the Southern Border Righteous Path Gu immortals, we need to be careful of Heavenly Court's Gu immortals lying in ambush and waiting for a chance to deal with us. Fang Yuan said in a heavy voice. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1386, Wu Yong's Arrival. Chapter 1386, Wu Yong's Arrival. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Strong winds blew past. Below, luxuriant mountains steadily moved towards the rear like an endless herd of elephants. Fang Yuan and the group of Gu immortals, on the back of the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, had no mood to enjoy this grand scene of rivers and mountains. They were in a perilous situation. The entirety of Southern Border's righteous path Gu immortals were trying to get them. There might even be lone immortals and demonic cultivators waiting to see if they could reap some benefits. They were unable to fight Southern Border's righteous path. Any rank 8 Gu immortal or immortal Gu house meant enormous trouble and danger to Fang Yuan and the rest. However, besides this, the most worrying thing was Heavenly Court. Heavenly Court had left after taking away the Super Gu formation. Although Fang Yuan and the rest were not aware, the reason for this was for Duke Long to suppress Spectral Soul's main body. But even after leaving, Heavenly Court's influence still remained and their intention to eliminate Fang Yuan and the rest had not disappeared. Instead it was getting even more intense. Fang Yuan's speculation was unitedly approved by He Lulan, by Ning Bing and the others. If they were in Heavenly Court's position, they would also not let go of Fang Yuan and the group. Aside from leaking information to Southern Border's righteous path Gu immortals to make use of them, Heavenly Court would definitely have left some hidden cards to make sure nothing went wrong. However, their hidden cards were currently unknown. And the unknown creates pressure in people's minds. Heavenly Court's hidden cards were like an executioner's blade hanging above everyone's head, who knew when they would suddenly slash down. Even if Fang Yuan and the rest escaped to Western Desert, Heavenly Court's hidden cards might follow behind them. Heaven's will can actually infiltrate externally manifested dream realms. By exploring the dream realms, I was simply exposing my secrets. I was still constantly maintaining dark limit and familiar face to disguise myself, thinking I was deceiving Heaven's will. This was my biggest problem in this battle of the dream realm. Fang Yuan was standing on the eagle's back. Reverse flow protection seal had already been deactivated as maintaining it was very costly. Currently, Fang Yuan was currently using all kinds of investigative methods, including 3 breaths future vision. While inspecting his surroundings, he reflected on himself, finding his mistakes and errors. To err is human. Making mistakes was a normal thing, even rank 9 venerables made many mistakes in their lives. One's vision was limited, being trapped in their nature, encumbered by their environment and other various reasons made it such that no one could make the best decisions all throughout their lives. After making a mistake, realizing the mistake and correcting it was the behavior of an outstanding person. If Fang Yuan had known this information earlier, he would absolutely not have casually explored the dream realms. Now that he recalled, Fang Yuan found many arrangements of Heaven's will. For instance, his gains in the giant dream realm were Grandmaster attainment level in Water Path, Formation Path and Dark Path. However, what Fang Yuan needed the most was an increase in the attainment level of Information Path and Time Path. If his Information Path attainment level rose, even if he did not have Information Path Immortal Gu, he could gradually solve his problems. His Time Path attainment had all along remained at ordinary level. If it rose and was combined with He Fan's true inheritance, Fang Yuan's battle strength could definitely rise sharply. Even if it were not Information Path or Time Path, it would be very helpful if his attainment level in Sword Path, Refinement Path, Luck Path or Soul Path reached Grandmaster. Especially Sword Path. Fang Yuan currently had several Sword Path Immortal Gu, and also had Bo Qing's true inheritance. If his Sword Path reached Grandmaster level, his battle strength would soar madly. Unfortunately, none of them appeared. At the latter stage of exploring the dream realm, I only encountered absurd dream realms. Heavens will invaded the dream realms and controlled their rotation. It probably did not want me to progress anymore. In my memories of the 500 years of my first life, there was not any mention of dream realms being contaminated by heaven's will. Maybe this was a secret no one had discovered yet in Fang Yuan's first life, but even more probable was that when Fang Yuan used spring-autumn cicada to rebirth, his will was tampered with by heaven's will so that he forgot this information. I have lost dark limit immortal Gu. Right now, the others and I are exposed to heaven's will. Fortunately, since the upper extreme heavenly eagle is extremely fast, heaven's will does not have much time to make specific arrangements. Southern border righteous path, heavenly court and heaven's will, these three were pursuing, encircling and intercepting as they tried to take Fang Yuan's life. However, Fang Yuan was not panicking. He meticulously planned and prepared as to how he could protect his life under this situation. In fact, after the destruction of 88 Truyang building, Fang Yuan had been pondering over this matter. He had ample mental preparation. Being exposed now was far better than if he were exposed before. Because Fang Yuan had many hidden cards to deal with the situation. It depended on how he used them. Currently, he was using wisdom path methods, thoughts were emerging and colliding in his mind. He continuously played out various situations, how to resolve them and how to protect himself while expending the least resources. An immortal Gu house is flying over from the southeast side. Bai Ningbing suddenly warned. She had inherited Bai Xiang's true inheritance. Her long-distance investigative methods were much more suitable for this situation than Fang Yuan's 3 breaths future vision. Shortly afterwards, Fairy Miao Yin's expression changed as well. I also see it, this is Ho Clan's flying sand pavilion. She had a greater understanding of southern borders details, immediately recognizing the immortal Gu house. Fairy Miao Yin immediately added in shock, they are so fast. Flying Sand Pavilion was one of the fastest immortal Gu houses in southern border, it was even faster than the upper extreme heavenly eagle. If Fang Yuan and the rest relied solely on the upper extreme heavenly eagle to escape, Flying Sand Pavilion would catch up to them sooner or later. However, Fang Yuan had already planned ahead and expected such a situation, so he had practiced the ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel with the others. Although it had been disrupted by Chi Chu Yu's Gu formation, it was only a small setback. Right now, they had all gathered together and could use this method again. Flying Sand Pavilion was rushing between the mountains. This was its unique method, it could use Earth Path Dao marks to reduce the immortal essence expenditure and increase its speed. Undoubtedly, in southern border which was filled with mountains and forests, Earth Path Dao marks were extremely dense, Flying Sand Pavilion was like a fish in water. While moving at full speed, Flying Sand Pavilion was like rumbling sand, yellow-brown sand was constantly moving inside, while dust clouds surged on the outside. The Gu immortals inside were not just from Ho Clan, there was also a rank 8 Gu immortal, Shang Wu Jie. Shang Clan was among the top super forces in southern border, it naturally had a rank 8 Gu immortal. Shang Clan's first supreme elder Shang Wu Jie had all along maintained the tradition of neutrality in Shang Clan, and had good relations with all clans. If it were Yao Clan, Luo Clan or even Tai Clan, Ho Clan Gu immortals would absolutely not have given them face and invited them into Flying Sand Pavilion. Suddenly, Shang Wu Jie's expression shifted slightly as Fang Yuan and the rest suddenly disappeared from his perception. They used that ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel. Shang Wu Jie's mind jolted, before a map of southern border appeared in his mind. After combining various information, Shang Wu Jie soon deduced several areas where Fang Yuan and the rest were most likely to appear. And these areas all had southern border righteous path Gu immortals. Wu Yong's plan is not bad. Shang Wu Jie lightly remarked, but suddenly his brows furrowed. He realized that according to this layout, Fang Yuan and the rest would eventually be chased to the northwest of southern border. And over there, Wu Yong was already lying in wait. Clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building speed could be ranked as number 1 among the current southern border's immortal Gu houses. However, Wu Yong had used an immortal Gu house of Tai Clan, Beacon Tower, to travel there. This immortal Gu house was made of beacon towers scattered all over southern border, and it was by using this mystical immortal Gu house that southern border's righteous path were able to quickly spread a large net. Fang Yuan and the rest were like large fish covered by this net. Swoosh! Under the sunny sky, 4 Gu immortals suddenly appeared. They were Fang Yuan and the rest, who had teleported using omnidirectional travel. This is already the 5th time. A lot of my Dao marks have been consumed. This is not looking good. The enemy knows our position and has been encircling, pursuing and intercepting us, like they have laid out a large net and are now rapidly tightening it. Should we change our direction and catch them off guard? Bai Ningbing and the rest were discussing. Fang Yuan shook his head. The investigative killer move on us is the root cause. They will catch up to us sooner or later if we don't remove it. The current plan is to strive for every second and rush out of this net to Western Desert. They could go to Western Desert. Heavenly Court would not be able to easily mobilize Western Desert's righteous path to hunt Fang Yuan and the rest. Go! Fang Yuan let out the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle and ordered it to fly away. The true ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel could cross a very large distance. Unfortunately, Ing Wuxie's method was not the complete version. And in the series of battles, the core immortal Gu of omnidirectional travel were destroyed. What Fang Yuan and the rest were currently using was actually an incomplete omnidirectional travel. This incomplete omnidirectional travel not only had a shorter teleportation range, even worse was that it spent Dao marks of the Gu immortals. Shadow Sect remnants, where do you think you are going? After flying for a distance on the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, Fang Yuan and the rest suddenly heard Wu Yong's voice. What? Fairy Miao Yin immediately paled. Don't be afraid, this is just Wind Whisper Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan snorted and reassured. Wind Whisper Immortal Gu had an extremely large range. As long as it was activated continuously without caring for immortal essence expenditure, it could theoretically cover the whole of southern border. But soon, clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building appeared in the horizon. This rank 8 immortal Gu house was alarmingly fast. Even though the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was an immemorial desolate beast with first-rate flying speed, the distance between Fang Yuan and Wu Yong was rapidly shrinking. Use omnidirectional travel. Fang Yuan instantly knew this was bad. Although they were still far away, he firmly chose to activate the ancient battle formation. Facing a rank 8 Gu immortal, he would not feel safe even if they were farther away. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was stored away. Omnidirectional travel was activated successfully. The 4 Gu immortals suddenly disappeared from the spot. However, when Fang Yuan and the rest appeared again, their expressions were extremely unsightly. What's going on? We only teleported such a small distance. It is not even 10% of the previous distance. Wu Yong's voice resonated in the immortal's ears once again. You are trapped in my airlock. Omnidirectional travel will not work anymore. The voice had just been heard when clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building appeared in the horizon once again. The Shadow Sect immortals felt an enormous rock pressing down on them. An unprecedented danger was hanging above their heads. Rank 8 Gu Immortal Wu Yong, together with Rank 8 Immortal Gu House Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1387, Heavenly Eagles Escape. Chapter 1387, Heavenly Eagles Escape. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Airlock. When were we hit by this killer move? I didn't feel anything at all. Shadow Sect's immortals were all taken aback. They were not aware when this killer move had struck them. If it were not for the subpar result of omnidirectional travel and the facts in front of their eyes, they would have thought Wu Yong was bluffing. Never underestimate a rank 8 Gu immortal's methods. Wu Yong did not have high seniority. His seniority was even lower than most other rank 8 Gu immortals in southern border. But he was well learned and talented. and having inherited Wu Duxiu's legacy, he had plenty of available methods. Fang Yuan frowned deeply. How does this killer move, airlock, work? How long does it last? How can I find out flaws of this move and target them? His mind was rumbling like the sea as thoughts surged like huge waves. These questions perplexed him. More importantly, he had to resolve them quickly as it concerned his life. Clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building continued to approach closer. Wu Yong's laughter could be heard. He clearly would not give Fang Yuan enough time to think. The situation was extremely pressing. Fang Yuan needed to make a decision immediately. He thought for a moment and immediately sent his order, "All of you enter my immortal aperture." Why? You are all too weak, you will just be sending yourselves to death by trying to fight a rank 8 Gu immortal. It is better for you all to enter my immortal aperture and research airlock, try to find a method to restrain it as quickly as possible. Fang Yuan spoke bluntly, and opened the entrance to his immortal aperture. The immortals looked at each other. But quickly, He Lulan was the first to enter. If she did not need to send herself to death, it naturally was a good thing. He Lulan had been worried Fang Yuan would use the alliance agreement on her to send her to face Wu Yong and sacrifice herself so Fang Yuan could get some time to escape for his life. But unexpectedly, Fang Yuan did not do so. Fairy Miao Yin and Black Tigress hesitated for a moment before following in. They had made their accomplishments because of Purple Mountain True Monarch's true inheritances, and were now Shadow Sect's members. However, the main reason for them accepting Fang Yuan's order was because Fang Yuan was Shadow Sect's leader. On the contrary, Bai Ningbing remained behind. She naturally was not concerned about Fang Yuan. Instead, her gaze turned towards Wu Yong and carried an expression of eagerness to fight him. Bai Ningbing chased after excitement in life, it was like Fang Yuan chasing after eternal life. This feeling burned like fire and could even be said to be madness. Don't be foolish, even if you have Bai Xiang form, Wu Yong could easily kill you in an instant. Fang Yuan's tone was impatient. Bai Ningbing snorted, but still entered the sovereign immortal aperture in the end. Fang Yuan quickly closed the entrance, then commanded the upper extreme heavenly eagle to fly quickly. Wu Yong's sigh came from behind. Fang Yuan, you are also an outstanding genius. You were actually able to hide in my Wu clan for so long under Wu Yihai's disguise. You are truly a daring person who will make great achievements. It is a pity, it would have been great if you really were Wu Yihai. Wu Yong's sigh was sincere, he really cherished talented individuals. Fang Yuan was fleeing ahead while Wu Yong was chasing from behind. The immemorial desolate beast upper extreme heavenly eagle erupted with an extremely fast speed under such a desperate situation. However, clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building was still faster than it. After all, it was a rank 8 immortal Gu house. Clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building had another huge advantage, immortal Gu houses would not get tired. As long as there was enough immortal essence, an immortal Gu house could maintain a stable condition for eternity. However, the upper extreme heavenly eagle was different. It would get tired and fatigued after flying for a long time. However, Fang Yuan did not even consider this point. Because, according to the current speed of the two, long before the upper extreme heavenly eagle gets tired, clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building would catch up. Who else did you bring? Bring them all out. Fang Yuan turned towards Wu Yong, all kinds of Gu worm auras quickly rose from his body and lingered around him. Relax, I came alone. Wu Yong smiled as he activated the immortal Gu house. The verdant bamboo leaves on clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building turned into arrows as they shot towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan controlled the upper extreme heavenly eagle to swerve up and down, continuously flying in the air while adeptly dodging the arrows. Not bad. You have a solid foundation in flying. This enslavement path skill is even more amazing. Wu Yong did not stint on his praise. Fang Yuan realized something wrong. Light wind was lingering around his body, it could not be detected at first, but it was growing larger now. Not only him, even the upper extreme heavenly eagle's wings were entangled by 2 lumps of blue wind, greatly affecting its flying speed. Wu Yong's constant attacks are forcing me to dodge and change directions rapidly. Although the upper extreme heavenly eagle's speed has not decreased, clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building is moving in a straight line. There is also this air lump on me, it is probably the killer move airlock. It can actually absorb the scattered winds to increase its power. Wu Yong's attacks were not able to touch Fang Yuan, but had still achieved his objective. The distance between the 2 sides was rapidly shrinking. You still haven't found a way to break it? Fang Yuan questioned shadow sect members inside his immortal aperture. Difficult. There is only a little progress. This is clearly a rank 8 killer move, it is no trivial matter. Nothing but words. As Fang Yuan inwardly clenched his teeth, he heard Wu Yong's voice, "You must be thinking of how to break my killer move, right? No harm in telling you, once this move is set up, it cannot be shifted, but its range is quite large and can cover all the surrounding 100,000 li. It also has a time limit, as of now, it can still last for 8 minutes. Wu Yong spoke honestly. Fang Yuan's heart sank at this information. Wu Yong's behavior clearly showed his strong self-confidence. He already felt Fang Yuan was in the palm of his hands, unable to escape. Clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building continued to attack endlessly, finally catching up. Wu Yong gave a slight smile as he lightly flicked his index finger towards Fang Yuan from the 2nd floor window of the bamboo building. Immortal killer move, finger wind dragon. A crisp sound echoed. A dark jade worm flew out of his fingertips. The small worm shot at Fang Yuan with an extreme speed. While flying, it grew larger as its body expanded to 10 feet, 50 feet, 150 feet. After a few breaths of time, it turned into a vicious wind dragon that was 220 feet long, baring its fangs and claws as it fiercely collided against the upper extreme heavenly eagle. The upper extreme heavenly eagle was not able to react in time, and just as it was about to be struck by the finger wind dragon, Fang Yuan walked forward and actually took the initiative to collide against the finger wind dragon. Wu Yong felt astonishment that quickly turned into shock. Because after the finger wind dragon collided against Fang Yuan, it actually did no damage, and even more bizarre was that it turned its direction and flew back, lashing at him, its owner. Boom! There was a huge sound as the finger wind dragon collided against clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building. The immortal Gu house shook intensely, its speed immediately decreasing by more than half. And the finger wind dragon had completely crumbled. Fang Yuan took the chance to get back on the upper extreme heavenly eagle and pull apart a large distance. Wu Yong saw Fang Yuan wearing a long robe, with a sash floating in the wind, while giving off an ethereal and majestic aura. Wu Yong's astonishment immediately reached an extreme level. This killer move, could it be? Wu Yong blurted out. Although he had not personally taken part in the Battle of Reverse Flow River in Northern Plains, the information of this battle as well as Lu Guanyi's name had become famous in the 5 regions. Wu Yong recognized this killer move, it was Reverse Flow Protection Seal. This meant he now knew the secret that Fang Yuan was Lu Guanyi and Lu Guanyi was Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan saw Wu Yong's surprise and inwardly thought, it seems Heavenly Court did not inform Wu Yong of my Lu Guanyi identity. Or maybe Heavenly Court was still not aware of it. Fang Yuan felt a slight pity, his Lu Guanyi identity was exposed now and could no longer be used, this would affect his connections in Northern Plains. However, there was nothing he could have done about this. Facing a rank 8 grade expert, Fang Yuan could only maintain his footing by using Reverse Flow Protection Seal. If he used other methods, he would be easily killed by Wu Yong. Although Wu Yong suffered a setback, his gaze towards Fang Yuan became incomparably fiery. Fang Yuan not only was Wu Yi Hai with Shadow Sect as his background, he also possessed Reverse Flow River and Reverse Flow Protection Seal. As long as he was captured, his accumulations and wealth could absolutely elevate Wu clan's strength to a whole new level. This enormous profit moved Wu Yong. Moreover, Fang Yuan was also the greatest humiliation to Wu clan over these years. Good, all my plans in mobilizing the entire righteous path to create this situation where I could fight you alone were not a waste. Wu Yong mumbled while controlling the immortal Gu house to bombard at Fang Yuan and give chase. The effect of air lock on Fang Yuan had been reflected back to Wu Yong. But the upper extreme heavenly eagle was still plagued by it, while Wu Yong was inside clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building and was simply not affected. At this moment, Wu Yong controlled the immortal Gu house to collide against the upper extreme heavenly eagle. Fang Yuan heaved a sigh as he moved forward to block the immortal Gu house. Wu Yong chuckled, and flew out of the immortal Gu house to face Fang Yuan. At the same time, immortal Gu house clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building targeted the upper extreme heavenly eagle. Although Wu Yong was not inside clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building, he had left his will behind along with large amounts of immortal essence. The upper extreme heavenly eagle quickly fell into a disadvantage against clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building. Fang Yuan's situation was even worse, he thoroughly experienced the power of a rank 8 Gu immortal. He was only able to react passively against Wu Yong's attacks and had no way to fight back. After 10 or so rounds, Wu Yong thoroughly experienced Fang Yuan's powerful defense. He got a headache dealing with reverse flow protection seal, as any attacks at Fang Yuan would only be reflected back, even punching and kicking. Wu Yong's gaze then landed on the upper extreme heavenly eagle. This immemorial desolate beast was the critical point of this battle. Realizing this, Wu Yong split some attention to firmly suppress Fang Yuan, then used his immortal killer move to bombard the upper extreme heavenly eagle. The upper extreme heavenly eagle wailed in pain, it had an astonishing speed but how could its master let it easily escape when he himself was trapped here? But an immemorial desolate beast had a tough physique, the upper extreme heavenly eagle was still alive and healthy even after taking on Wu Yong's attacks. Not good. But at this moment, Fang Yuan's expression suddenly changed. Facing a powerful enemy, the upper extreme heavenly eagle's original will had been gradually taking control and was trying to flee for its life. Right at this moment, this will reached a qualitative change and broke free from the restraints of Fang Yuan's 180 slaves, it immediately shook its wings and escaped. Fang Yuan was thrown aside, and now had to face Wu Yong in clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building by himself. You still haven't made any progress? Fang Yuan called in an urgent tone towards the Shadow Sect immortals inside his immortal aperture. How can we have any results in such a short time? Bai Ningbing and the rest were also in low spirits. Wu Yong charged forward, with me here, don't even think of letting them out and using omnidirectional travel. Sure enough, in the following battle, he gave Fang Yuan no chance. After several more rounds, Wu Yong suddenly spread his arms, activating an immortal killer move which he had been preparing for a long time. Fang Yuan's vision suddenly changed, he was trapped in a strange battlefield and was unable to escape. If you give yourself up and offer all your cultivation accumulations, I can still spare your life, Fang Yuan. Wu Yong gave his ultimatum. Fang Yuan's expression was ashen. This was truly a hopeless situation. His only hope now was for Bai Ningbing and the rest to be able to find an opportunity to use omnidirectional travel and escape this battlefield. But, just as Wu Yong was about to make a move, his expression changed slightly as he looked at a certain direction. Who is it? Come out. A sigh was heard, following which, a Gu immortal who was brimming with central continent aura appeared. Both Fang Yuan and Wu Yong were surprised at the sight of this person. You are Favourite Gu. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1388, This is Favourite Gu. Chapter 1388, This is Favourite Gu. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. A middle-aged Gu immortal appeared in front of Fang Yuan and Wu Yong. This person was dressed in a red and white robe, standing straight like a spear or sword. His eyebrows were sharp like swords, mysterious light was flashing in his eyes, a gentle smile was on his face, and there was an elegant and invincible aura in him. But at this moment, his expression carried a trace of melancholy. He was a central continent Gu immortal whose name was spread throughout the 5 regions, a pillar of spirit affinity house, a sound path rank 7 who could battle rank 8, he was Feng Gu. Why was he here? Wu Yong and Fang Yuan were surprised and astonished. Feng Jiu's appearance and achievements had long spread throughout the 5 regions. Thus, although Wu Yong was seeing Feng Gu for the first time, he quickly recognized him. After all, a rank 7 Gu immortal who could fight rank 8 was a peerless genius that was rarely seen even once in 1,000 years. Were it not for Fang Yuan's other identity, Lu Guanyi, Feng Gu would probably still be the only one to hold this achievement. Wu Yong quickly restrained his surprise and sneered at Feng Gu, a central continent Gu immortal actually dares to appear in front of me. Good, good. In the battle of the Dream Realm, Heavenly Court reaped the most benefits, taking away many immortal Gu from southern borders' righteous path. Right now, Feng Gu was being implicated by this matter and provoked Wu Yong's hostility. Fang Yuan's gaze also focused on Feng Gu. This was not his first time seeing Feng Gu. In his first life of 500 years, Feng Jiu's appearance had already been imprinted in the depths of his heart. The radiance Feng Gu emitted in the 5 regions' chaotic war had even surpassed ordinary rank 8 Gu immortals. Unfortunately, he died in Langyip Blessed Land. His death had led to a great disturbance, shaking central continent while the other 4 regions danced in joy. Even after being reborn, Fang Yuan had seen Feng Gu as well. It was in that strange space inside the thieving heaven true inheritance in Luopa Valley. Under some strange combination of coincidences, Fang Yuan had saved Feng Gu. Originally, he would have perished inside the thieving heaven true inheritance's strange space because of Qin Bai Sheng's suicidal attack. But it all changed after Fang Yuan's rebirth. Although Fang Yuan had done it completely unintentionally, he was indeed Feng Jiu's savior. But so what if he saved Feng Jiu's life? In this world, how many times had kindness been reciprocated with ingratitude? Fang Yuan fixed his gaze on Feng Gu, he did not dare to relax as he shouted coldly, Feng Gu, you are the person Heavenly Court arranged to ambush me? Feng Gu glanced at Wu Yong before fixing his gaze at Fang Yuan. Seeing Fang Yuan again, moreover in such a situation, made Feng Gu sigh inwardly. Fang Yuan's progress was too fast. The first time Feng Gu knew of Fang Yuan, the latter had seized Feng Jin Huang's opportunity and became the new owner of Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Because of his daughter, Feng Gu knew of Fang Yuan's name. But he was not even in the least bit concerned. The reason? Because back then, Fang Yuan was only a mere mortal. The difference between an immortal and a mortal was like the difference between heaven and earth, the difference between cloud and mud, they were not even at the same level. It could even be said to be the mortal Fang Yuan's greatest glory for being able to attract a trace of attention from the grand Gu immortal Feng Gu. However, the development of later events went far beyond Feng Jiu's expectations. Fang Yuan continued to be involved in major events, repeatedly bringing calamity to the world. His identity was exposed, an otherworldly demon who was the owner of Spring-Autumn Cicada, inheritor of Giant Sun's true inheritance and so on, the whole world was shocked. Especially when Fang Yuan's progress was extremely fast, he rapidly ascended from a mortal to an immortal, and then to an expert among Gu immortals, everything happened in a flash. Many Gu immortals could not have such accomplishments even after putting in effort for countless years. But Fang Yuan seemed to have easily achieved this. The first time they truly met, Feng Gu was actually saved by Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan smoothly inherited one of the thieving heaven true inheritances, ghostly concealment, then in the battle of Tian Mountain, Fang Yuan played a huge role. I did not expect Lu Guanyi to be Fang Yuan. The great era is coming, heroes and experts are emerging, and Fang Yuan is currently the one who is shining the brightest. Feng Gu sized up Fang Yuan while thinking to himself. At the same time, he had a wry smile on his face. I hurried over from Central Continent to pursue an immortal Gu that thieving heaven demon Venerable had once used, but unintentionally ran into this matter. Is he saying he is not the person arranged by Heavenly Court? Fong Yuan frowned. Based on Feng Jiuji's nature and way of doing things, he would not deceive Fong Yuan at such a juncture. Wu Yong, however, sneered in disbelief. Who could have thought Feng Jiugu to have a hypocritical side as well? When I activated the battlefield killer move, you could have easily left if you did not want to participate in this matter. Feng Jiugu nodded, right. I entered of my own accord, it is because I owe my life to Fong Yuan. It would not matter if I had not come across this, but since I ran across this matter, I have to help him. What? Wu Yong was astonished. Fong Yuan was also dumbstruck. Wu Yong asked back in an incredulous tone, I didn't hear wrongly. You owe him your life, so you want to help him. Ha ha ha. Wu Yong started laughing. Feng Jiugu was a Central Continent Gu immortal, a person from the 10 great ancient sects. Everyone believed he would definitely become a member of Heavenly Court in the future. He was actually going to save Fong Yuan. Who was Fong Yuan? An otherworldly demon, a demon listed at the top of the Demon Judgment Board. Feng Jiugu actually wanted to save him. This was simply a huge joke. Wu Yong laughed, but not only him, even the smile on Feng Jiuji's lips started becoming bigger. As Wu Yong looked at Feng Jiuji's smile, his laughter gradually stopped, slowly replaced by solemnness. He knew. Feng Jiugu was serious. This person was simply a lunatic. A righteous path Gu immortal wanted to help a demon. Feng Jiugu was not just an ordinary righteous path Gu immortal, he was a huge star of the righteous path. Despite having only rank 7 cultivation, he was treated as a quasi-rank 8 expert by the world. His reputation in Central Continent and in the 5 regions was extremely huge. And Fong Yuan was similarly not an ordinary demonic character. Over these last years, he held the biggest spotlight in the whole world. He was a complete otherworldly demon, possessing spring-autumn cicada, reverse flow river. Giant sun's true inheritance, thieving heaven's true inheritance. In Central Continent, he had seized to immortal blessed land under the noses of the 10 great ancient sections. In Northern Plains, he had destroyed 88 True Yang building. He then went to Southern Border and thwarted Spectral Soul's heaven-defying plan, and seized the fruits of victory. And recently, he had successfully infiltrated Wu Clan, and after the Battle of the Dream Realm, he became the leader of Shadow Sect. Feng Jiugu wanted to help a person like Fong Yuan. Wu Yong was a righteous path Gu immortal. He tried putting himself in Feng Jiuji's shoes. Even if Fong Yuan saved his life, how much pressure would he face if he helped Fong Yuan? This pressure did not only come from his faction, it came from his family, his sect, Heavenly Court and even all the Gu immortals in the world. No. Feng Jiugu is different from me. He is not born of the righteous path, and was once a demonic path Gu immortal. Wu Yong suddenly recalled. Demons are truly insane, they cannot be reasoned with. Wu Yong raged inwardly. Fong Yuan thought of Feng Jiuji's past. Feng Jiugu had been an unremarkable secluded cultivator with no fame in his early years. He cultivated sound path and committed to it his entire life. One time, he sang loudly in a nameless valley, which attracted 2 other Gu immortals to sing in chorus. Back then, it was night time with the moon hanging high and light wind blowing gently, causing ripples in a glittering lake in the valley. As the 3 Gu immortals sang in harmony, time flew by rapidly, and they had sung till dawn. The 3 stopped singing and started laughing. They did not greet each other, but left full of joy. Only after a few years did Feng Jiugu learn of these 2's names and origins. At that time, there was news in Central Continent's Gu immortal world that these 2 were demonic Gu immortals who had seized a rank 7 immortal Gu from Black Heaven Temple, and were hunted down by the allied forces of the 10 great ancient sects. Feng Jiugu immediately set off to help them. Those 2 Gu immortals were at a dead end, opposed by the masses, so when they saw Feng Jiugu coming to aid them, they were both moved and surprised, asking Feng Jiugu why he did this. Feng Jiugu had replied, a few years back, we sang together, I sang about the bright moon, while you sang about the verdant mountain in a white lake. The clear moon and gentle breeze showed your human hearts. How could those capable of singing such a song be petty people who covet others' immortal Gu? I trust you too. The two were so touched their tears started flowing down. One of them spoke, "You understand us. We had inherited this rank 7 immortal Gu from a true inheritance, but how could we have imagined Black Heaven Temple to falsely accuse us? Black Heaven Temple is one of the 10 great ancient sects, whatever it says, others believe them." The other persuaded Feng Gu, "We have only sang one song together, we are complete strangers. The two of us are in great danger and have no hope left. It is still not too late for you to leave." Feng Gu, however, shook his head and insisted on helping them. The two immortals said worriedly, "If you do not leave, you will also be branded as a demon." Feng Gu laughed, "Neither demonic nor righteous, there is only Feng Gu in this world. To leave or to stay, I decide my own life and death." The two immortals were moved, and teared up in admiration. Feng Ji's poems were not famous back then. But as he repeatedly forced back Black Heaven Temple's Gu immortals and was victorious time and again, the matter soon got out of hand. When the other 9 ancient sects heard of the matter, they expressed support for Black Heaven Temple and created the huge pressure of public opinion. As a result, Feng Gu proclaimed that he would challenge Central Continent's champions as he traveled the world. The 10 sects sent their experts to challenge Feng Gu in single battles, but were all defeated. Feng Gu was not afraid, fighting as he continuously traveled a huge distance, suddenly changing his tactic and going for the enemy headquarters, causing the 10 sects to lose miserably. The scene was total chaos and there was nothing anyone could do. Finally, Spirit Affinity House made their move. The fairy of that generation, Fairy Bai Qing, moved Feng Gu with love and turned him into a member of Spirit Affinity House. Back then, Feng Gu could put himself on the line to save 2 complete strangers who had only sung a song with him, becoming labeled as a demon as a result. Now, why would Feng Gu not help the demon Fang Yuan? Especially when Fang Yuan had saved his life. Feng Gu was still the same person, be it in the past or present. Fang Yuan suddenly realized the meaning behind Feng Ji's earlier sigh. Feng Gu had already wanted to help Fang Yuan, but he thought of his wife and daughter as well as his situation. He was probably intending to help secretly. But unfortunately, his presence was sensed by Wu Yong. Feng Gu had to make a choice after that. And just like what he did back then, he made a similar choice. Neither demonic nor righteous, there is only Feng Gu in this world. To leave or to stay, I decide my own life and death. Demonic path or righteous path, these two factions and identities could not restrain Feng Gu. To leave or to stay, as far as Feng Gu was concerned, if he left, his heart would not be free, only by remaining would his heart be at ease. His action simply came from his inner heart. I am always me. I am Feng Gu. For all eternity. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1389, Fang and Feng vs. Wu Yong. Chapter 1389, Fang and Feng vs. Wu Yong. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Ha ha ha. Wu Yong suddenly started laughing loudly. His laughter was filled with anger. He was obviously angry at Feng Gu for wanting to help Fang Yuan. Good. Good. Both of you are only rank 7 Gu immortals, but have rank 8 battle strength. Let me experience what level of strength you two have. A rank 8 Gu immortal's pride and confidence made the killing intent inside Wu Yong flourish and intensify. He was absolutely confident of his victory. So what if it was 1 against 2? He, Wu Yong, was a rank 8 Gu immortal, while his opponents were only rank 7. How could the gulf between rank 7 and rank 8 be so easy to bridge? Let alone when he had an immortal Gu house with him. Clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building, a rank 8 immortal Gu house. A rank 8 Gu immortal with a rank 8 immortal Gu house, how could he lose? Wu Yong could not think of any way he would lose. The battle started again, the atmosphere immediately tensed. Feng Jiugu slowly moved towards Wu Yong, while saying to Fang Yuan without turning his head, "You once saved my life, now I am saving yours. The favor has been repaid, you should leave, whether you can break through and get out of here alive will depend on yourself." Fang Yuan was surprised. By the looks of it, Feng Jiugu was not going to fight together with him, and was instead going to fight Wu Yong by himself. Okay. Fang Yuan immediately retreated to a corner. Who was he? How could he forego such a chance? Seeing that Feng Jiugu was facing him alone, Wu Yong felt a trace of admiration inwardly and spoke, "All right, let me experience the power of the famous Central Continent genius." He then stored the immortal Gu House clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building back into his immortal aperture. This rank 8 immortal Gu House was his trump card. It was constructed with multiple rank 8 immortal Gu, naturally it consumed an enormous amount of immortal essence. Wu Yong had already activated it for a long time to set up the situation and chase Fang Yuan. Now, Wu Yong stored it. It was like a sheathed divine sword, the enemy would never know when Wu Yong would activate this trump card, and would always feel apprehension and pressure. At the same time, this also showed Wu Yong's self-confidence and pride. He wanted to fight Feng Jiugu fairly. Battle intent soared as both sides readied themselves. Fierce wind suddenly blew around Wu Yong before subsiding rapidly. Feng Jiugu and Fang Yuan both watched with focused gazes. This was a sign of Wu Yong activating his immortal killer move. It was extremely fast. Moreover, the aura before activation had been concealed to an extreme degree, be it Feng Jiugu or Fang Yuan, both were unable to sense it. Feng Jiugu quickly retreated, cautiously pulling apart some distance from Wu Yong. How could he dare to be conceited against a rank 8 Gu immortal? Especially against an immortal killer move which was completely unknown, facing it head-on was absolutely reckless. The fierce wind subsided, turning into gentle breeze which then rotated endlessly, transforming into enormous figures in a blink of an eye. They were shaped like humans, but were tall like elephants, with bulging muscles like piles of stones. Their whole bodies were bluish-black, sharp fangs protruded out of their mouths, and they had a pair of thick monstrous arms that drooped down to their feet. Their eyes were completely black, and green hair grew all over their bodies. Immortal killer move, Soft Vajra Wind Chief. Wu Yong created 6 wind chiefs at once. Some of the wind chiefs were shouting, producing loud wheezing noises, while some screamed with an almost ear-piercing pitch. They divided into 2 groups with each group having 3 wind chiefs, one group charged at Feng Jiugu while the other chased after Fang Yuan. Feng Jiugu wanted to fight Wu Yong, while Wu Yong had his own pride and wanted to deal with both Feng Jiugu and Fang Yuan together. A light flashed in Feng Jiugu's eyes when he saw the killer moves form. Instead of retreating further, he unleashed his long-range palm attacks. Ding, ding, ding. Each of his palm strikes produced a resonant sound. The sound waves vibrated and spread, striking the 6 soft Vajra wind chiefs one after the other. The soft Vajra wind chiefs had an imposing momentum earlier, but they were completely stopped by this immortal killer move of Feng Jiugu. They were even sent back and looked like they were unable to resist the attack. Both Fang Yuan's and Wu Yong's pupils shrunk at such a sight. They were both shocked. Feng Jiugu only had rank 7 cultivation level, but the power of his immortal killer move did not lose to Wu Yong's. Whether it be Fang Yuan or Wu Yong, they could both see that this was because of the extremely abundant amount of sound path Dao marks on Feng Jiugu's body. His sound path Dao mark accumulation was so immense that it was actually on par with Wu Yong. How did he cultivate to this extent? Fang Yuan was endlessly astonished as he observed the battle from afar. The reason he could fight with rank 8s was because of reverse flow protection seal. But Feng Jiugu was able to fight rank 8s because he possessed an extremely deep sound path foundation. When these two were compared, Fang Yuan was naturally inferior to Feng Jiugu. How did he cultivate? Having such a foundation, it is no wonder he was able to fight against Central Continent's 10 ancient sects back then, and has the confidence to fight Wu Yong. Does he truly have this foundation, or is it some temporary method that can only last for a short time? Fang Yuan began to ponder. Naturally, his main attention was still on Wu Yong's immortal battlefield killer move, as well as analyzing and deducing the killer move airlock. At the same time, the Shadow Sect Gu immortals inside his immortal aperture were also doing their best at this. Crack crack crack. Wu Yong saw that the soft Vajra Wind Chiefs were ineffective, and activated another killer move. He grasped a thin and long wind whip in his hand and continuously lashed it at Fengjiu Gu. The wind whip seemed to have no end to it and could also be immediately contracted. Every lash could break the air and produce a crisp explosion. Fengjiu Gu showed no weaknesses. His left hand sent palm strikes against the soft Vajra Wind Chiefs, while his right hand clenched into a fist and dealt against the wind whip. His left palm struck the air, every strike bringing with it a long and resonant bell sound. His right fist pummeled in front of him, every fist producing a rumbling explosion like striking a war drum. Dang dang dang. Bam bam bam. For a moment, Fengjiu Gu was actually equally matched against Wu Yong. Even Fang Yuan was almost dazed. The main reason was because Fengjiu Ge's Dao Marks accumulation did not lose to the rank 8 Gu immortal Wu Yong. How did he cultivate to the point where he was able to go against the common sense of Gu immortal world? The biggest difference between a rank 8 and a rank 7 was the amount of Dao Marks. An earthly calamity could, on average, give 250 Dao Marks, 250, to a Gu immortal. A heavenly tribulation was 750, 750. A grand tribulation was 7,250, 7,250. A myriad tribulation was 86,750, 86750, Dao Marks. The difference between the Dao Marks of a rank 7 Gu immortal and a rank 8 was extremely huge. While the difference between a rank 9 Gu immortal and a rank 8 was like heaven and earth. This was one of the main reasons why rank 9 was invincible, and rank 8 Gu immortals could crush rank 7s. As Gu immortals advanced further, the amount of Dao Marks they gained would increase explosively. Even though everyone knew this, it was simply too difficult to do anything about it. Rank 8 Gu immortal themselves signified higher quantity and quality of tribulations than rank 7. Hence, it was almost impossible for a Gu immortal at rank 7 cultivation to possess a rank 8 Gu immortal's Dao Mark accumulation. If not for this, there would have been abundant examples of rank 7 fighting rank 8 in the Gu immortal world. However, Fengjiu Gu was able to achieve this. If this is his temporary power-up method which increases his Dao Marks, it would be slightly easier to accept. But if he actually has such a Dao Mark accumulation, that is too terrifying. Fang Yuan thought to himself while observing the battle. Wu Yong did not get angry at Fengjiu Gu being able to fight him equally, instead his expression became more calm. Good. Truly worthy of Fengjiu Gu. Well then, how about this move? Wu Yong pointed his finger. His fingertip aimed at Fengjiu Gu. A crisp sound echoed. A dark jade worm flew out of his fingertip. The small worm shot at Fengjiu Gu with an extreme speed. While flying, it grew larger as its body expanded to 10 feet, 50 feet, 150 feet. After a few breaths of time, it turned into a vicious wind dragon that was 220 feet tall, baring its fangs and claws as it showed a ferocious imposingness, as if it was going to swallow Fengjiu Gu. It was Wu Yong's specialty immortal killer move, Finger Wind Dragon. Fengjiu Ge's pupils shrunk slightly, and he immediately retreated back. Finger Wind Dragon was extremely powerful. Fengjiu Gu could not face it head-on, hence he retreated to create some distance and attack from afar. It could not be helped. Wu Yong's Finger Wind Dragon killer move had rank 8 Immortal Gu as its core. Fengjiu Ge's Dao Mark accumulation was similar to Wu Yong's. But he did not have any rank 8 Immortal Gu. Wu Yong's rank 8 killer move, Finger Wind Dragon, was extremely powerful. Fengjiu Gu could not face it with his killer moves that used rank 7 Immortal Gu as their cores. Or, he could use quantity to make up for the quality. Feng Jiugu had this idea. He retreated while sending out endless punches and palm strikes, using rank 7 killer moves as he weakened the finger wind dragon until it completely dissipated. But this undoubtedly was an intense burden on Feng Jiugu's rank 7 red date immortal essence. On the other hand, Wu Yong's immortal essence was something only rank 8 Gu immortals had, white lychee immortal essence. Feng Jiugu was far inferior to Wu Yong in this aspect. Rank 8 Gu immortals were stronger than rank 7, not only in Dao marks, but also their other aspects that were of qualitative difference. Immortal essence was only one of them. Just by using one finger wind dragon, Wu Yong had immediately broken the stalemate, suppressing Feng Jiugu. This killer move is dangerous. I can sense the violent strength hiding inside it, I must not let it get close to me. Feng Jiugu had an extraordinary perception. Wu Yong had indeed stacked another move on top of this move, it was chaotic shooting blades. Once this move was activated, the finger wind dragon would self-detonate, turning into countless jade wind blades which would shoot everywhere. The power was terrifying and had shown its might in the Purple Blood River formation. Although it was the first time Feng Jiugu saw the finger wind dragon, with his plentiful battle experience, he intuitively sensed this follow-up of Wu Yong. This discovery let Feng Jiugu avoid danger, but he became even more passive. He could only retreat while weakening the finger wind dragon with long-range attacks. This gave Wu Yong enough opportunity and time to prepare a new immortal killer move. This was very dangerous. Feng Jiugu also knew this, but unfortunately, Finger Wind Dragon was extremely fast and gave him huge pressure, adding on the 6 soft Vajra Wind Chiefs. Feng Jiugu was unable to interrupt Wu Yong. This is troublesome. Feng Jiugu's brows began to furrow. At this rate, the situation would become increasingly disadvantageous for him. Once Wu Yong activated another immortal killer move, it would definitely make Feng Jiugu's situation even more unbearable. However, right at this time, a figure suddenly joined the battlefield. Boom! The finger wind dragon directly collided against Feng Yuan's body. Then, it was reflected back by reverse flow protection seal. The finger wind dragon which had troubled Feng Jiugu for some time was sent flying back to Wu Yong. Wu Yong, who was preparing a new killer move, immediately frowned deeply. Reverse flow protection seal is truly amazing. It was Feng Jiugu's turn to look at Feng Yuan in a new light. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1390, for clear transforming winds. Chapter 1390, for clear transforming winds. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Reverse flow protection seal immediately showed extraordinary effect. The finger wind dragon was reflected at Wu Yong, but right at this moment, Wu Yong gave a firm shout, his whole body erupting with a powerful aura. The immortal killer move he had been preparing was finally activated. Wind Ghost Sickle Hand. He stretched out his right arm and grabbed towards the finger wind dragon. Almost instantly, with no prior indication, an enormous ghost hand suddenly appeared on the finger wind dragon's body. The ghost hand formed completely by wind, it was extremely large, grabbing the finger wind dragon like grabbing an earthworm. The ghost hand was pitch black and had long sharp claws that were like 5 sickles. At this moment, as it grabbed down, it looked like it had the power to slaughter immortals. The finger wind dragon gave a miserable cry and struggled fiercely. Several breaths later, it completely broke apart, turning into gusts of wind which soon dissipated. Feng Jiugu's expression turned solemn. Finger wind dragon was undoubtedly a rank 8 killer move, but Wu Yong's wind ghost sickle hand clearly appeared to be much more powerful. If this hand had grabbed Feng Jiugu, the consequences were too miserable to imagine. If Feng Yuan had not interfered at the crucial moment, Feng Jiugu would still be being chased by the finger wind dragon and would also have to face wind ghost sickle hand. His situation would have been extremely precarious. Wu Yong's expression was similarly unsightly. He had been preparing Yin Wind Ghost Sickle Hand for a long while, and had thought of defeating Feng Jiugu with this. But with Fang Yuan's interference, he had no choice but to change the target to Finger Wind Dragon, wasting this great killer move. In fact, Yin Wind Ghost Sickle Hand had a subsequent transformation as well. It was called Yin Wind Rope, and its ability was to capture Gu immortals. After all, Feng Jiugu was from Central Continent. Wu Yong had spent such a large amount of effort and immortal essence to prepare Yin Wind Ghost Sickle Hand so as to capture Feng Jiugu alive. If he achieved his goal, he would have gained huge benefits. Firstly, if Wu Yong captured a person like Feng Jiugu alive, it would be a huge boost to his own fame and would have a huge influence on Southern Border's righteous path as well. Secondly, just capturing Feng Jiugu and not killing him would mean they would not have to fall out with Central Continent and Heavenly Court. Finally, after capturing Feng Jiugu, Wu Yong could not only extort him, he could also blackmail Spirit Affinity House and even Heavenly Court. If he could make Heavenly Court compromise and hand over those immortal Gu they took from the Super Gu formation, even if it was just a portion of them, Wu Yong's prestige in the whole of Southern Border's Gu immortal world would definitely rise to unprecedented heights. It could even directly stabilize Wu Clan as the #1 force of the righteous path in Southern Border's Gu immortal world. But now, Fang Yuan had disrupted his plan. These two guys. If I use ordinary rank 7 killer moves, Feng Jiugu could easily resist them and even counterattack. If I use rank 8 killer moves, although I would be able to force back Feng Jiugu and suppress him, I would have to go through Fang Yuan's reverse flow protection seal. If the killer move is reflected, I would be the one to suffer losses. Wu Yong's eyelids twitched slightly at his present situation. It was problematic. He felt a little troubled. If he was just facing Fang Yuan, Wu Yong could completely treat him like a sandbag and have full initiative. If he was facing just Feng Jiugu, he could also forcefully suppress the latter. But if he was to face both of them, Wu Yong was troubled. There is not much hope in breaking reverse flow protection seal in a short period of time. This is the first time I am witnessing this move, and I am also not a wisdom path Gu immortal. Maybe Heavenly Court and Longevity Heaven have already researched and made countermeasures against reverse flow protection seal. But the only way now is to continue attacking them until they are unable to cope with the attacks, then find an opportunity to kill them. If there was no opportunity in battle, he would create it himself. Thinking of this, Wu Yong suddenly concealed himself, disappearing from Fang Yuan's and Feng Jiugu's sights. He disappeared. Where is he? Fang Yuan looked at Feng Jiugu. Wu Yong was taking a step back for the sake of advancing further. Fang Yuan's investigative methods were no good and was simply unable to sense Wu Yong's location. Feng Jiugu also shook his head. He seems to be using this battlefield to hide himself. He could only detect some vague details. Feng Jiugu had just finished speaking, when there was a sudden change in the whole battlefield. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Fierce wind rose from nowhere, making whizzing noises as it moved around the battlefield like formless pythons. Then, wind blades formed out of the wind. Each wind blade carried the piercing power of a rank 8 killer move. They maneuvered around in the air and charged towards Fang Yuan and Feng Jiugu. Good. Fang Yuan was happy instead of startled. His robe fluttered behind as he charged ahead. The wind blades, however, nimbly passed around him and shot towards Feng Jiugu. Wu Yong wanted to get rid of Feng Jiugu first before he dealt with Fang Yuan. This choice was extremely wise. Because only Feng Jiugu had the ability to counterattack. Once he was dead or captured, what could Fang Yuan do with just reverse flow protection seal? Feng Jiugu smiled brightly at this. Interesting, I am being treated as a pushover. His tone was not furious, instead it had some joy and curiosity. He had never experienced such a feeling. Feng Jiugu sent out punches and palm strikes, destroying the wind blades. But after being destroyed, the wind blades turned into gusts of fierce wind which whizzed around before condensing into new wind blades. The wind blades shot forward continuously and with an increasing amount. Feng Jiugu did not dare to let these wind blades touch him, but despite destroying them as early as possible, he was now in a passive situation. Fang Yuan quickly rushed forward to help. This time, Fang Yuan lingered beside Feng Jiugu. Many wind blades struck Fang Yuan, but were immediately reflected back. However, they did not shoot back at Wu Yong, instead striking back at this battlefield. Although Wu Yong was the controller, he had manipulated the immortal battlefield killer move to send out the attacks. Hence, he was not the direct attacker. Wu Yong became the mastermind manipulator, while Fang Yuan's reverse flow protection seal could only reflect the attack to the attacker. As such, the wind blades could only target this battlefield. Wu Yong, who was hiding in a corner, was inwardly joyous when he saw this, and put in even more strength into the battlefield killer move. Fang Yuan was passively defending, his frown getting deeper as time passed. Feng Jiuji's situation had already turned for the better with Fang Yuan's protection. He thought for a moment before transmitting his voice to Fang Yuan, "Protect me while I prepare a move to destroy this battlefield." Fang Yuan was stunned, before quickly agreeing. Previously, he had already deduced it would be difficult to break this battlefield killer move. It was very difficult to see any effects based on his strength and attainment. On the other hand, it was better to wait for air lock to dissipate and use omnidirectional travel with Bai Ningbing and the rest to leave this battlefield. So he needed to stall for time to the greatest extent possible. If he let Feng Jiugu fight with Wu Yong alone, Wu Yong would soon gain the upper hand and suppress Feng Jiugu, even getting rid of him, and then be free to deal with Fang Yuan. Feng Jiugu might have rank 8 battle strength, but he was still rank 7 after all. Hence, Fang Yuan came to help. Feng Jiugu began to prepare his killer move. He did not resist, leaving his defense to Fang Yuan. Such trust made Fang Yuan feel a little uncertain. Seeing this, Wu Yong hastened the battlefield killer move even more. The wind blades were unable to do anything to Fang and Feng. Another change occurred in the battlefield. Crackling of thunder could be heard. This thunder was extremely peculiar. Normal thunder sounded like an explosion or rumbling. This thunder, however, sounded bright and sharp, like knocking a gourd on a large 100-year-old bamboo flute. Several breaths later, lightning bolts flickered as they struck down at Fang and Feng. "Careful, this is clear jade lightning," Feng Jiugu warned. Clear jade lightning emitted dazzling blue light. It was extremely fast and emitted such glaring light that Fang Yuan had to close his eyes. He quickly activated his transformation method to change his eyes to dragon eyes. Only then was he able to resist the dazzling lightning. Fang Yuan was actively maintaining reverse flow protection seal, which took almost all of his attention, so he was not able to use ancient sword dragon transformation. But if it was just transforming his eyes, he could still do it. Clear jade lightning struck down. Fang Yuan took it head-on. The jade lightning hit his body and was reflected back, wreaking havoc to the battlefield. But some of the jade lightning struck towards Feng Jiugu. However, these clear jade lightning bolts disappeared without a trace when they had just neared Feng Jiugu. Feng Jiugu was preparing a killer move. He naturally would not fully rely on Fang Yuan and had laid down some defensive methods. Fang Yuan felt relieved at this. He could defend much more calmly now and even counterattack. Wu Yong saw the lightning did not work and changed the battlefield again. Lightning disappeared, strong wind weakened and changed into drops of beautiful green water pearls which then formed a thin drizzle. "Be careful, this is clear jade dripping wind," Feng Jiugu warned once again. This water pearl-like wind sprinkled on Fang Yuan's body but were similarly reflected back. Fang Yuan was completely safe. Feng Jiugu, however, did not fare well. As clear jade dripping wind neared him, they continued to disappear, but many water drops still landed on his body. Feng Jiugu had defenses all over his body as well. The clear jade water drops splashed on him, producing clear sounds. The water continued to land on him. Feng Jiuji's body seemed to have turned into a human-shaped musical instrument, as delightful melodies echoed continuously. Wu Yong laughed loudly and even revealed himself because he saw victory within his grasp. My move still has another variation, its name is Profound Immortal Sound. Feng Jiugu, you cultivate sound path, why don't you evaluate this move? As his voice stopped, low murmurs of wind started to resound in the battlefield. The sound of the wind was mild and clear, resounding within Feng Yuan's mind. In an instant, the robe on Feng Yuan started shaking and billowing. Not good, this profound immortal sound has the strongest offensive power among the 4 variation moves. Although I have reverse flow protection seal, I can only protect myself, how can I help Feng Jiugu? Feng Yuan's heart sank. Wu Yong's battlefield killer move was 4 clear transforming winds, it was created by a rank 8 Wu clan ancestor and was passed down from generation to generation. This 4 clear transforming winds had 4 variations, clear wind blades, clear jade lightning, clear jade dripping wind and profound immortal sound. It was Wu Clan's trump card killer move with awe-inspiring might, and had helped Wu Clan to dominate southern border for countless years. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.